Support the only black-balled podcast in all of wrestling, Truth with Consequences with Vince Russo and Matt Koon. Go to our Patreon site because we got early episodes, video episodes, uncut, bonus shows, swag sent to your house, signed 8x10s, calls from Vince, and this week, something special going on because on Thursday, we're going to be releasing the following week, Truth with Consequences, which is going to be uncut, and it's awesome. It's all about Dixie, Jarrett, and Vince Russo. And the next day on Friday, we're going to release the following week's Truth with Consequences, which is going to be all about Vince returning to WCW and working with Eric Bischoff. Go to patreon.com/RussoKoon, TWC today. Sign up today and help support the only blackball podcast in all of wrestling. Patreon.com/RussoKoon, TWC. Welcome to Truth with Consequences. We are doing a watch along of WrestleMania 10. And earlier you told the Patreons that it was the first show that you were actually employed by the WWE. That's why you asked me if we could do this one.
Yes, Matt. I'm confused now. Am I supposed to give the preamble now? I got pre WrestleMania 10 stories.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. You can start right now because we are going to do this watch along in just a second. Go ahead and get your WWE Network ready. WrestleMania 10. We have the logo on the screen. But before we get started, Vince, tell us more before we get started.
Let me tell you the three things that stand on my mind. This was a monumental event for me, bro. My first full-time pay-per-view. Prior to this, I was a freelance writer. Started with WWE in 1993, was hired in 1994. Three things that stand out vividly in my mind. Number one, bro, you remember the old Fan Fest? That's what they used to call it.
Access,
the Fan Festival.
Fan Fest.
Yeah, what do they call it now, Matt?
Access.
Okay, well, back then it was the Fan Fest. And as editor of the magazine, I had to have a little WWE magazine booth, and I had to work the Fan Fest. And I'll never forget, bro, I just started on the job. Linda McMahon was my boss because Linda McMahon was in charge of publications. That fell under her umbrella. When I used to have to meet with somebody about the magazine, it was Linda McMahon. And I remember, bro, the day starting, and I see Linda, and I'm talking to Linda. Bro, ask me what's the first thing that happens.
What is the first thing that happens?
Linda McMahon told me to lose my gum, which was very embarrassing, Matt. So that was the first thing.
Did she put out her hand?
Yeah, pretty much, Matt. Very embarrassing for Linda McMahon to tell you to lose your gum. I felt like a 16-year-old kid.
It'd be funny if she just said, "Hey, Vince," and snapped her fingers and put her hand out.
Yeah. Okay, that's number one. Number two, what I remember this vividly, bro. Bro, how many years ago was this, Matt? We're up to WrestleMania what now?
35.
Okay, so how many years ago was this?
Well, Howard Stern math. First he added 10.
Yeah.
Then he had another 10.
25.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right.
Yes, okay. That's crackhead Bob math too. My son VJ, who is 28 years old now, was 3 years old. Okay? I took him to the Fan Fest. To this day, bro, VJ was 3 years old, and he was taller than who was Doink's buddy? What was Doink's buddy's name?
Dink.
VJ at 3 years old was taller than Dink the Clown. Okay? Third thing I remember, bro, was I was given the responsibility of babysitting Davey Boy Smith's two kids. And one's a monster now, right, bro? One's a monster on the indie scene, right, bro?
He's huge, yeah.
Harry. Mm-hmm. Harry and Georgianne. I think the girl's name is Georgianne. They're adults now, obviously. Harry's a big independent wrestler. Back then, bro, they were little kids running around the Fan Festival, and my job was to watch them. Just some things I remember, bro. A little preamp.
That's pretty funny. And Harry, I've had contact with him recently. He's about, I want to say 6'5", 6'6". He's bigger than his dad, height-wise.
And he's kind of built like him a little bit too, right, Matt?
Very much so. Very much built like him. And he actually isn't just an indie guy. He wrestles for New Japan Pro Wrestling as well.
Does he wrestle with the other kid I like, Lance, right?
Yeah, they're the Killer Elite Squad.
Yeah.
Lance Archer.
Both good guys, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get started with our fun WrestleMania 10 watch-along. It's one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. And we are on the network right now. Just go to the network, find WrestleMania 10. And we have but press play until we have the blue backdrop with the WrestleMania 10 logo on top. Are you ready, Vince?
Yes, sir.
We have the logo in place in the center, and we're saying 3, 2, 1, play. Now, it's funny. Any music you hear, this little piano music, it's actually Jim Johnston. Like, Jim Johnston
yes, it is.
Everything. And we have
God.
a flashback of the old WrestleManias. What are we looking at, Vince?
Liberace, the big, iconic Andre Slam of Big John Studd. You'll never forget that. Muhammad Ali, bro.
Wow.
Cyndi Lauper, Wendy Richter. Roddy with the bagpipes, bro.
This is all showing highlights because this was the 10
Billy Martin, bro.
Oh, Billy Martin, one of the greatest managers of all time.
Hulk and Pat. I guess Pat was the ref.
Pat was the ref of WrestleMania 1. You said you watched WrestleMania 1, right?
Wow, Pat was the ref at WrestleMania. I completely forgot about that, bro.
And now we're seeing some faces of the new generation: Bret Hart, Yokozuna, Lex Luger, and then some flashy graphics I think I made. That's how bad they are. You were at the first WrestleMania, right? Or I'm sorry, you watched it, right?
No, I did not, Matt, because it was on closed circuit TV. You could not watch that on a television set. So I did not watch WrestleMania 1.
But luckily they showed matches from it the next week on Wrestling Challenge or Wrestling Superstars. And we learned what happened. And you first got kind of invested at WrestleMania 3, but then you were at WrestleMania 4 and 5. Is that right?
Yeah, Matt, you know what's interesting? Going back to WrestleMania 1, I can remember vividly, bro. My wife and I moved into a condo. And, bro, I remember, painting the condo. WrestleMania 1 was happening. Matt, the thing that I don't think people can comprehend, bro, I wanted to know what happened. Bro, there was no way to get wrestling results back then. There was no way. I literally, bro, had to wait till the following Saturday to watch the show on TV to get the result. I remember that vividly, Matt.
I remember watching a sports show, and it was like SportsCenter or something, and it said, "Oh, for those of you into this, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T beat Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper." But yeah, it was hard to get those results. So we just saw Vince McMahon introduce Little Richard to lip sync America the Beautiful, along with a choir, probably the Harlem Boys Choir is my guess. Vince McMahon is in all his glory here, is he? Look, he's still in the ring.
Matt, this I remember vividly. Matt, I don't know what I ate for lunch yesterday. This I can remember vividly. Little Richard was rehearsing this during the day. Bro, Vince McMahon was marking out for Little Richard like I had never seen anything in my life, and was actually in the ring during the day dancing with Little Richard. I remember seeing that with my own two eyes, Matt.
Did you see the way he introduced him too? He did the a full hand, and he kicked his leg out.
Oh yeah.
Richard.
Yeah. No, well, bro, when you look at it, if go back to Vince's childhood. I mean, Little Richard was probably a big deal when Vince was growing up, getting into music. Probably a really, really big deal for Vince.
I mean, maybe Vince just likes 50s music because he named a pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire.
Well, not only that, bro, I can remember him marking out just as much for Aretha Franklin. I mean, he marked out for her. And bro, like Vince, like didn't, Vince wouldn't let himself be seen marking out for other people. But I remember Little Richard, Aretha Franklin. He was a total mark.
And it's definitely not the Harlem Boys Choir, but it is a choir singing along with him.
Bro, talk about phenomenal characters in entertainment, right, Matt? I mean, who was better than Little Richard?
I mean, he marketed himself a certain way, and it really worked. The flamboyancy, and he wasn't the greatest piano player, he wasn't the greatest singer, but in a lot of ways, he was a very big groundbreaker racially for music. Where he got a lot of white people. He had a larger white audience, I think, than any black artist before him. Even Chuck Berry. I think if you take where the white audiences came to black music, it was Chuck Berry and it was Little Richard.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Historically, I mean, we're talking about
two of the greatest, not even arguably, definitely two of the greatest showmen of all time.
I remember my dad's a musician. We were watching Jerry Lee Lewis when I was a kid. And my dad goes, man, it's so tough to watch these guys get old. And then, like, a couple years ago, I still saw Jerry Lee Lewis. It's like 35 years later.
Yeah.
It's sad that someone like Little Richard, though, didn't make any money in the wrestling business until maybe the 60s or 70s, where he was doing the Vegas shows and that type of stuff.
In the wrestling business?
I'm sorry, in the music business. He probably made more in the wrestling business. This was probably his best payday, a better payday than anything he got in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, and I could definitely see Vince freaking sitting at Gorilla clapping his hands, and I can see Vince getting jiggy with this, bro. No doubt.
Vince is in the ring. Oh, no, he's not. No, that's a guy with a mullet, an announcer with a mullet. And Vince is in all his glory here. 10 years in, and it's back in New York, back at the Garden. How important is MSG? They're trying to play it down like it's not a big deal, but Ring of Honor is going to be at MSG WrestleMania weekend. Do you think that represents a failure on WWE's
Oh, Matt, I'll never forget this as well, too. I'll never forget this, Matt. I went to WWE for a house show, Matt. When I was working for the WWE, this was early on, too. I went for a house show, and I had on like a really nice sweater, Matt. And Vince pulled me aside, bro, and cut a promo on me. Bro, I had like just barely been working with the guy. Cut a promo on me that because I wasn't wearing a suit and tie. And he read me the riot act of how special Madison Square Garden was to him because his dad was in the Madison Square Garden Hall of Fame. And he said to me, don't ever, ever come to this place again without wearing the proper attire, without wearing a suit tie. And he was hot, bro.
And that shows how special Madison Square Garden was to the McMahons. Make sure that you're up close to your mic if you can, Vince. You're going in and out a little bit.
Okay.
But I think it will be okay. And we just saw Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler talking to each other. And now we're seeing a flashback of the Bret Hart-Owen Hart feud and how it all kind of culminated, and then coincidentally culminated with him getting a match against Owen as part of this weird deal where Luger and Bret Hart won the Royal Rumble at the same time, and they had to have two matches. So Bret is going to wrestle Owen if he loses the coin flip. If Luger loses the coin flip, then he wrestles Crush before they each face Yokozuna. Very confusing, don't you think?
It was very confusing, but the thing that really sticks out to me the most, bro, is this was definitely at this point, and maybe throughout his entire career, this was one of the biggest nights in Owen's life. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, bro. You're talking about the entire world, Madison Square Garden, New York City, WrestleMania, bro. Now you're in a match with your brother. And, bro, the amount of pressure put on Owen that night to deliver. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, Matt, about, Owen maybe being in the footsteps of Bret and maybe really feeling that way. This was Owen's night to literally come into his own. And, man, I got to tell you, bro, I think he felt an enormous amount of pressure going into this match.
We talked recently on one of our Patreon, I believe, exclusives that Owen kind of failed to connect in some way. Even in this particular feud, as hard as Owen is trying, we see him working so hard. This feud really worked because of the work Bret Hart did as a babyface, would you say?
Yeah, but Matt, I would also say it worked because Owen lived up to it. I remember that match that night, and we're about to see it. And, bro, these guys had a fantastic match. And I can remember, bro, it was so good. And I knew what it meant to Owen that as soon as it was over, I tracked him down in the locker room. And I put over the match. I mean, and I was being sincere. I thought it was a great match. I have not seen this match in 35 years. He was so happy, bro. He was so happy that I enjoyed the match, and I put it over to him. And I know I can remember that moment, and I could tell he just felt like a 1,000-pound weight had been lifted off his back.
With this setup, it really got set up in the previous Royal Rumble when Owen finally turns on him, and as he said, he kicked the leg out of his leg and and injured him. And here comes the Black Heart himself, Owen Hart. You probably feel, you're still, I guess, this is WrestleMania 10, so you're in creative at this point, or are you still with the magazine right now?
Oh, no. I just started, bro. I literally just started as the editor of the magazine. I'm 100% magazine. I'm nowhere near creative. Creative isn't even a thought in my mind, Matt. And I'm a mark. I am a total mark. I mean, Matt, you can imagine. I mean, come on, man. I grew up on this stuff, watching this stuff, went to WrestleMania 4 or 5. Now I'm working this event. I'm marking out. I've got no problem saying that whatsoever.
For me, this kind of falls in my lost years of wrestling fandom, because 1994, I was 22, man. I was just trying to stay alive. I was just trying to, hustle my way. And so I've gone back and watched this, but I was watching sporadically at the time. With Owen, he is in the best shape he's ever been in his life. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking at, Matt. Like I don't even remember Owen being in that kind of shape. I mean, he is in phenomenal shape, bro. Like no doubt about it, bro. At this point in time, Matt, this was the biggest match in his life. No doubt about it, bro. Maybe for both of them.
Digging the long leather Sergeant Pepper's jacket for Bret Hart, right? That's just he looks like a champion. Like he looks like a star. And it took him a while to, unlike most people, I think it took Bret a while to learn how to be a star.
Oh, I definitely agree with you, Matt, because when you look back on the Hart Foundation and you look back on Bret and Neidhart, Bret was a little chubbier. He had a fuller face. Bro, at that time, I never would have thought Bret Hart was going to become a huge single star. I never. Bro, wasn't there one particular match? Was it WrestleMania? There was one match when he won that Royal Rumble. Was that 2?
WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, that was the turning point. But even at that point, I never thought in a million years.
So think about this, as we see this, I believe that's Dave in the ring, Hebner. It could be Earl, but I think it's Dave. Bret and Owen about to face off. If you think about this, Vince, at that time in WWE, you had Bret Hart, you had like Paul Roma, you had Jim Powers, right? Mm-hmm, I would have picked Bret Hart third, as
absolutely, bro. No, I mean, I agree with you.
Jim Brunzell, you had a lot of these medium guys, and Bret Hart was a guy who was brought in and he kind of jobbed a little bit when WWE bought Calgary. Stampede Wrestling and the rights from Stu. And the deal was, okay, you can have it, but you got to give my boys jobs. And the boys that got jobs were Bret and Anvil and the British Bulldogs. And, we started seeing those guys in. The Bulldogs had the star power, but Bret, not necessarily right away.
I am going to ask you to make a prediction right now, Mr. Matt Koon.
Okay.
During this match, how many times do you think both wrestlers combined will leave their feet?
Combined 4. 3.
I'm predicting 2 drop kicks. 2.
Well, Owen will get on the top rope and do something,
Yeah.
And we're starting with this catch as catch can. Dude, Owen is ridiculously big here. Look how big he is.
Oh, he looks great, bro. He looks great. He looks phenomenal, bro.
He looks like everybody would have reason to believe he could be a breakout future star at this moment.
Yeah. I wonder how many times, Matt, they went through this match. You know what I mean?
Since they were like 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Matt. That's a great point, bro.
Now, I've seen Bret Hart do that move before where he gets either in a hammer lock or a waist lock, and he runs toward the ropes and ducks down. His opponent flies out of the ring. And it's
Now, did you think for a second there, Matt, that Bret Hart was going to do the suicide dive?
I thought he was going to do the flying tiger drop like Ricochet did this week. Did you see? Are you aware of the move I'm talking about?
Bro, Ricochet does so many moves. I couldn't tell you one from the other.
I don't know the difference between that and what they call a Sasake, but it's the one when the guys were outside the ring and he ran against the ropes and he did like a front handspring and then a backflip over the rope outside. It's an amazing move,
Matt, we were watching we did Castrating the Marks last night, and Wade Keller made a comment about the Jinder Mahal Ricochet match. And he was commenting on one of Jinder's moves, and he called it a oh my God, I wish I had my notes here. Something to the effect of a full side headlock, or it was a headlock. I mean, it was literally a headlock, but Keller had a name for an open side headlock. Have you ever heard of anything like this?
He's just overanalyzing it.
It's crazy, bro.
These two guys we're watching them just do kind of catch as catch can wrestling. So I'm going to tell you something about Wade Keller when you listen to him. And when I tell you it, you're never going to be able to unlisten to it again. Are you ready?
It was called an open side headlock, bro. So go ahead, man.
You don't know the difference between an open side headlock and a standard side headlock?
I have no idea. And what is a closed side headlock?
I'm not sure. But,
Yes.
I think Wade does karate or something. But anyway, if you listen to Wade, and it's something that Conrad brought my attention to because it just bugged the hell out of him, the way he says WWE.
How's he say it?
He goes, WWE, WWE.
I got to listen. I got to listen.
You'll hear it. You'll never be able to unlisten to it because he talks so fast, Look at these guys go against the ropes, monkey flip. I always love that with the monkey. And here comes Bret.
Here we go. Suicide dive. Back up for the suicide dive. Here it comes.
So what we just saw was Bret Hart clothesline Owen out of the ring. Vince, in watching wrestling now, how often do you see that move get screwed up, that clothesline over the top rope, where it looks like crap?
A lot.
People jump into it because they're short.
Yeah.
People they start it before they get hit. Sometimes there's one great gif of Enzo where he just hits the rope and then just jumps over.
Yeah. Man, what I'm loving here, Matt, is I'm loving the story they're telling. Like, it literally is two brothers fighting. That's what it is. It's two brothers fighting.
It's perfection in storytelling because it's not just two brothers. It's an older brother who is trying to keep his spot, but also loves his younger brother, and the younger brother who is at all costs, even separating himself from his family, wants to finally escape the shadow and wants to prove himself. And it's an amazing story.
Yeah, this is what I talk about all the time, Matt, and I think this is lost today about wrestlers being in the moment, know what the story is, be in the moment. This looks like two brothers fighting, and it's escalating, and it looks like there's a history there. And I mean, they are telling an unbelievable story. This is what I love.
The immaturity of youth, willing to do whatever it takes, the wisdom of experience of Bret Hart, not wanting to cross certain lines with his brother. It's really fantastic. And this is the storytelling that takes place in a match. Oh, patented Owen spin kick. This is the storytelling that takes place in a match that a lot of fans nowadays like, but I guess your point is it's never like this, right?
No, it's not, bro. For some reason, I think I know what it is. I've talked about it so many times, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but man, I just think when they're memorizing so many spots, they take themselves out of the character and out of the story. That's what I believe.
And now we're doing something that is very overdone in WWE these days, which is the outside the ring brawling. Owen picks up Bret Hart and bashes him against the ring post. And Bret, I guess the point is, Vince, when you do this shit, you got to make it count, right? You can't just do it every
absolutely,
match.
Absolutely.
You ever watch the show?
So many times, Matt, like when I'm watching wrestling today and, they're getting heat on the outside, like I'm literally screaming at my TV, like, will you hit him? Hit him. You're not going to hurt a, 240-pound guy. Hit him.
Hey, how great was Jason Sensation's impression of Owen Hart?
Oh, God, please, bro. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. Perfect.
Oh, look at this. So it's a camel clutch, but he can't just do it. He's so angry. He's got to grab the hair. He's got to talk crap. And look how Bret is stretched out for this camel clutch.
That's perfection, man. It's textbook. It's literally, bro, you could be looking through a wrestling textbook, and this is textbook wrestling, man. It's unbelievable. They've yet to leave their feet, bro.
Story-wise, Vince, here we go. I love when they hit the ropes, and we're going to see, that's the padded belly-to-belly of Owen Hart. See, that's the one thing about wrestling back then, Matt. I talk about this all the time. They kick out of wrestling moves. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if there's a lot of kickouts if they're wrestling moves. This is a wrestling move they're going to kick out. There's a lot of kickouts wrestling moves. Bro, today, a guy gets kicked straight in the puss and he's kicking out. Like, that's what I have an issue with. If you kick out of a wrestling move, great. But when you kick out of something that should really, really hurt you, that's where I just lose the connection. And in this match in particular, it reminds me of WrestleMania 3, Steamboat and Savage. The focus is so on getting the pin. They've gone for so many pins, and that's something that's lost today too, where people aren't really going for the pin when they should. Well, yeah, Matt, if you noticed a couple of minutes ago, and I was thinking the same exact thing, I didn't say it though, but when freaking Owen was on the outside selling, what did Bret do? He went out and threw him back in the ring. He's got to pin him in the middle of the ring. And the motivations are different. Bret is trying to show, Owen, you can't get away with this stuff. He's not necessarily trying to embarrass him. Oh, man, Owen. Okay, so this is Owen Hart at his peak. This is it. This is Owen Hart, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, at their absolute peak. Would you agree? Oh, yeah, bro. Just so crisp and so clean, and God, bro. Great. Well, again, let's be honest, bro. I mean, they're brothers, bro. They've been doing this in Stu's basement forever. They know each other inside out. They know what the other's going to do before they do it. So, you got to put that into the equation. This is a special case. But, man, Matt, I challenge you to find a match tighter than this, man. I mean, Yeah, I don't think you could just put it off on brothers because, the Hardys never really had great matches. And Owen's going knees first. Oh, my God, his head did hit. Unlike the time he pile drove Austin and went ass first on that pile driver.
There's the one time he went off his feet so far.
That must be a Heart Dungeon thing, man. That headbutt off the top rope. It's got to be Dynamite, Benoit, Owen. That flying headbutt.
God, you forget how great a commentator Vince McMahon was, huh, bro?
So good. You know, he reminds me, I'm not saying I'm anywhere near as good as him, but when I'm trying to sell lessons to people, it's kind of like the way Vince talks to the crowd. You know, he's always selling the company in such a credible way because it's his company. So here's what sucks in my mind, and I think as we watch the show, you might agree with me. Storyline-wise, they had to do this match first because of the fiasco with the title. But starting the card off with this match.
Oh, my God.
Does it disservice?
I can't wait to see who's following this.
We're going to see some bullshit later on where we might have been okay watching that bullshit, but watching it after this is going to be, we're just going to be like, oh, come on.
Yeah. And, bro, I guarantee you, bro, the guys following this are behind the curtain, and that's exactly what they're saying. How in God's name are we going to follow this?
So Bret is starting his 5 moves of doom. I hipped up Vince Russo to what the 5 moves of doom was, and people talk about Bret Hart's being the Russian leg sweep, the elbow off the top rope, the backbreaker, you know, the sharpshooter, and something I'm forgetting, that the headbutt to the groin. And Bret has already started that rotation, but we still don't know how this match is going to end.
God, listen to how excited the crowd was getting when it looked like he was going to put him in the sharpshooter.
Did you see the GIF recently of Luger trying to do a figure 4 to Flair?
No.
Dude, I'll tag you in it. It's fantastic. It's the wrong leg, both wrong legs. And someone I think Brian the Guppy, who's a must follow on Twitter because he just posts these great GIFs, I think he just wrote, "Oh, Lex." Poor Lex. Love Lex. Oh, he left his feet. Bret Hart left his feet for a flying body press.
Here we go. Hurt his knee now. Here's the psychology.
Less is more, right? Because it always was awesome when Sting would do this flying body press once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
Out of the ring.
Yeah.
Really great.
Now, I don't mean to pick on anybody, but without having seen this in 35 years, watch the way Bret sells his knee throughout this entire match and think about Becky Lynch today.
I don't want people to tweet you, but it was 25 years ago. Just
25 years ago, yeah. And think about Becky Lynch today. Watch Bret sell this knee.
I was thinking that too, because someone said, I think limping Becky is her new gimmick. You know? And I'm like,
see, that's the thing, Matt. Why doesn't somebody there say, Becky, watch Bret Owen WrestleMania 10? That's all you got to tell her. Tell her to watch Bret Owen WrestleMania 10. That's it.
So we talk a lot about the word mark, and I think, you know, for me, I'll say I mark out in a match when it lets me pretend it's real for a second in my head. You know, like it takes me out and I'm able to enjoy it, and I'm not thinking of buy rates, and I'm not thinking of, you know, selling, and I'm not thinking of these things. I'm just watching the story unfold. This card has some bad matches, but it's got 2 matches that I would say in my mind are 5-star matches.
This one?
Oh, absolutely.
And what else?
Oh, dude, the ladder match is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The ladder match we're about to watch is probably my favorite match of all time.
And this is just great psychology, man.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Flair Steamboat trilogy. I love, you know, some of these matches that have gone on, but there's something about the energy and the speed, the recklessness and the innovativeness of that ladder match that is amazing to me. But look at this submission and compare it to when we see, you know, Daniel Bryan in the ring now. This is...
Well, you know what I'm thinking of, Matt? Here's what I'm thinking of while you're looking at that. Here's what's striking me. Do you hear what the fans are chanting?
What's that?
Let's go, Bret. Not this is awesome. They're chanting, let's go, Bret.
You know, I think that's a criticism I don't think you articulate in a way that is positive sometimes, that you guys don't like you and your a lot of people on the brand at russosbrand.com, where you can get the full Vince Russo treatment all the time, don't dig that this is awesome and you deserve it chance But I think there's an argument to be made that when you chant, "This is awesome," you're not invested in who wins and loses.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. They're chanting, "Let's go, Bret." Just like you go to a Knick game, "Let's go, Knicks." Let's go. I mean, their chant. They want somebody to win this match.
I agree with you 100% that the problem with wrestling and the reason that the audiences have gone down right now is too much people are into the spectacle and want to see a good match as opposed to care who wins. I think we can have both. We can care who wins and also want to have a good match.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that.
And I think in this one, if you root for Owen, you're an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's all there is to it. It's not like it's cool. Owen's not cool heel. If you root for Owen, you're an asshole. If you root against this big brother trying to do the right thing for his family, you're just a jerk.
Yeah. I swear to God, Matt, I don't know how long we're into this. Have you seen like one bad spot? Like one F up, one miscue? One? No. I have not seen one. I mean, not one, bro.
This is a perfect match, dude.
Bret selling the leg.
You know, Bret, I only like Bret when he has crutches, you know, like he'll have crutches soon. But also, this was the leg that Owen injured at the Royal Rumble as well.
Yeah. When's the last time the Noggin Knocker was used today?
I love the Noggin Knocker.
Yeah.
Remember when, like, you would Noggin Knocker the Samoans together and they would stare at you and then Noggin Knocker you with both their heads?
Yeah.
You know,
even the way Bret got up on the bad knee, even the way he got up off the mat was phenomenal. Every move he hits Owen with, he's selling the knee, the impact on the knee. I mean, that's one of my criticisms with Becky. She comes down the ramp, hobbling, and then what does she do, bro? She climbs, she hits her stands on the middle rope, and it doesn't hurt her.
Here's an example, and I guarantee he was instructed to do this because the guy is, oh my God, what a perfect pile driver by Bret Hart. Just perfection. The guy knows what he's doing. The guy is smart, but Drew McIntyre was beaten to death with a chair, right? Mm-hmm. He wrestles that night. He just walks out there.
Stevie Richards said the same exact thing, Matt. Same exact thing on our show. That's exactly what Stevie said.
And I mean, Drew is a listener to podcasts. Drew is someone I'm a fan of. And when he was not WWE, dude, he like literally talked to Matthew for 10 minutes with a line behind him just because he's that nice a guy. He's that's why I always root for good people.
And you know what, bro? I guarantee you after the fact, he realizes he did that and he wasn't happy about it. I guarantee you.
Dude, no one's reminding him to sell. Like, someone should be back there.
Yeah.
Telling him. So I'm thinking this. I'm thinking, you're a monster. That shit didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
And I guess we're inclined to believe now Ambrose is out because he wasn't on the show, but he was on the post-show angle. Like, for the live crowd, Ambrose.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So we've still got Bret and Owen. Owen is prone with his back down, Bret limping across him, picking him up, finally teaching this kid a lesson, and now he's just going to the forearms. Why aren't they going back and forth like in a Japanese match? This is great. Oh, so Bret goes for the sleeper. Owen does the old low blow with his leg. You're loving this match, aren't you?
Oh, my God. This is like bro, you hear a lot today about, it's art, it's our art, it's our art, it's how we express ourselves. This is art, bro. Like, I have not seen one mistake, one miscue, anything look bad. I mean, think about that, bro. Think about every single thing they've done in this match. Not one freaking blown spot.
So I guess in getting to know you, Vince, a little bit, as he reverses it, I guess what I found out about you is that people say that Vince doesn't care about work rate, but for you, work rate matters in a match like this when work rate is completely integrated with storyline, where it's not just two guys showing off what they can do in the ring. It's for a reason.
Yeah, Matt, I told you, man. I think the last pay-per-view was Fastlane. What was what match was Daniel Bryan in?
Fastlane, Kevin Owens. Wasn't it Kevin Owens?
Wasn't it a three-way or something? Was it at Owen?
Mustafa Ali. And Owen gets the surprise pin. And no one is more surprised than Owen Hart. He gets the pin in the corner, clean, just off of a reversal, just kind of almost a fluke win. And he's
even the expression on Bret's freaking face is just, that's how you would react, man.
That's like the Bret expression. You know what I'm saying? Like when he loses, he's just like, motherfucker, Stu's going to be pissed.
See, today, bro, they'd have the wide open eyes looking at the ref. What? I mean, Bret's selling this like he would sell it. What I was saying, Matt, I swear to God, I like Daniel Bryan. Kevin Owens has grown on me. But I swear to God, bro, I was watching that match at Fastlane, and I remember writing down my notes, and what I wrote down was, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because it was all high spot kick. Nobody's selling high spot kick. And I'm like, bro, I don't know how you expect me to believe this. I just believed everything I just saw.
Well,
there was nothing in that match not to believe.
Well, we certainly believe the ending of it, and they showed it on replay. Bret Hart goes for a victory roll out of a corner. And instead of getting the full roll, Owen gets him in an escapable pin where he has his legs pinned and he has his arms pinned with his legs. That's something we don't see a lot of anymore, which is the inescapable pin. And now we have Owen still hasn't wiped the slob off his mouth, is giving an interview to Todd Pettengill. What do you remember about Todd Pettengill?
Todd Pettengill and I did not get along, and I'll tell you the reason why I had an issue with Todd Pettengill. I always felt, Todd Pettengill was a big DJ at the time, bro. There was a big radio station out in New York, WPLJ 95.5.
Sure.
It was a huge station. Pettengill was on that station. I always felt like he thought wrestling was beneath him. And that really, 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 really bothered me. It really rubbed me the wrong way. That's just the attitude I thought he had when he was working for the company.
Owen's giving his triumphant interview to Todd Pettengill. And, Todd Pettengill has one of those voices. You know when Howard Stern makes fun of radio voices?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
He's like, all right, here we go. And back to you.
And I can remember being in that hallway many, many times.
I will now, the opening, when I started watching wrestling, the opening of Wrestling Every Week was Hogan walking down that hallway, slapping his arms,
Yeah.
Flashback to the great Ray Charles singing America the Beautiful, and the fiasco that was WrestleMania 2, the Battle Royal with the football players, and that was Vince doing too much in that second one,
Yeah. Now, do you know what match this is beforehand?
I'm going to let you be surprised. Okay. But I will tell you.
What was this ring announcer's name again, bro?
Who we got? Let's see here.
Dunn? No.
I don't know him.
Oh, I know him. God, I can't remember his name, and that's horrible.
And look at Howard Finkel with the hairpiece.
Yeah, that's the Hair Club for Men guy right there.
Cy Sperling is back there.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Another example of a pop culture.
And bro, I swear to you, they literally hired this guy to do this Howard Finkel rib. No question about it. That was the whole point behind this, bro.
And
that was just to rib, bro. I cannot tell you how many ribs they pulled on freaking Howard Finkel when I was there. I can't tell you.
What was it about Finkel?
I don't know, bro. But I could tell you I remember one time him really, really getting upset. It was something, bro. It was a show, and Finkel was in the ring or something. And I remember Jack Doan, the referee, took down Howard Finkel without Howard knowing it was going to happen. Howard came to the back and was so upset he was freaking crying. And I remember Lawler, like it was a serious situation, and Lawler was trying so hard not to laugh, and he would turn his back to Howard and look at me and just go hysterical laughing, and it was just bad. But the whole Cy Sperling thing was to Brib Finkel with the hairpiece.
Are you ready to be surprised, Vince, by who comes out to face Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon?
And Luna looks great, man.
And we thought it was best for you not to watch this first so that you can be surprised. We talked about this person earlier, and not.
Here he is.
He'll see. And
Doink
and Dink.
Hey, Matt, this is a stupid question, but this is what, 1994. I'm looking at Luna. Did they have hair extensions back then in 1994?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah. So with Dink, we talked about him earlier a bit. I was at WrestleCon 2 years ago, and Dink was at a table, and he just really looked like the sad clown, but he was, small. And so he literally comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you want to buy a picture?"
Was he in clown makeup?
He was. And I'm like, no, little clown. I don't want to do that. And I felt so. I literally think when I go to the pearly gates and they go, "Well, you would have gotten in, but you broke Dink's heart." And I still feel guilty about the look that I got from Dink. Yeah.
I love Luna's outfit.
Bam Bam's a little thinner here than we watched on the 13 Weeks episode recently on patreon.com. Make sure if you want to see watch-alongs like this Attitude Era watch-alongs every single month, along with watch-alongs at WCW and many other things, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Russo-Koon TWC. I believe, I'm not sure which Doink this is, but we had a few. We had
Ray, wasn't it Ray something?
Ray Apollo.
That's who I think this is.
So this is post Matt Bourne.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. And Ray Apollo was a cool dude, man. He was a nice dude. He was always good to me.
And this was the beginning of a little bit of attitude. I think the Doink character was interesting in that, it was just like, it was different. It was an evil clown. And at the time, evil clowns weren't really a thing. And, the smoking the cigar and kind of the Krusty the Clown kind of thing. Were you a Doink fan?
Yeah, bro, but they got away from I thought they got away from the evil clown too soon. I thought they could have done a lot more with the evil clown. Now, bro, what do you think Meltz is rating this right here? What is he rating this?
Well, I will read you from the Wrestling Observer that week.
I want to hear what he's rating.
This is one.
Dink and I want to hear what he's rating Dink and Luna.
1 3/4 stars for the match. He says a lot better than their house show matches. And we have Dink and Luna. I guess intergender is okay if it's a little person. Luna's a little bit hot here, man. She's not,
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
And she's strangling him on the second rope and posing. And, man, I tell you what I love about WrestleMania 10 or WrestleMania's at the Garden is the backdrop of the hallway behind them,
Yeah.
I think it worked in particular when Cena made his surprise appearance at a Royal Rumble. But so many times, well, there's a nice shot of Luna, an elbow drop by Dink. And this is surely something that Wade Keller would book differently.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna either slap her on the ass or bite her on the ass. He is. I see it coming. I see it coming a mile away.
Luna saw it too and kicked him in the stomach. Little people, if you just watch wrestling and you didn't know any little people, you would assume that all little people like to bite people on the butt.
Yeah. Matt, one of my very first memories of wrestling, and I'm talking about like way before WWE. I'm talking, bro, I must have been maybe 3 or 4. So I'm talking about like 65-ish. Bro, one of my very, very early memories of wrestling, and it wasn't like WWE or anything like that, was, my grandfather, we used to love to watch the midgets. It was such a it was such a treat and such a big deal. And we stopped everything to watch midget wrestling. I must have been like 65-ish.
Well,
I don't even know what I was watching.
They might have been midgets then, but they're little people now. And,
I know.
Although Swoggle himself is not offended by we had a long talk one day about the whole thing. And do you know there's people who are afraid of little people? Are you aware of that phobia?
Yeah.
I have a friend named Dave Hancock who is legit afraid of little people. And Conrad had Swoggle run up to him and hug him. And
oh boy!
You thought it would be funny, but dude, it was not funny.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Swoggle about that later. He told me Big Show is like that. That Big Show has a fear of little people. Like,
oh my God!
Like an elephant and the mouse, you know?
Yeah.
And Swoggle was legit afraid he would lose his job before it got started because Big Show wouldn't be able to be in the same arena with him.
Yeah. Well, Kramer is afraid of clowns.
That is my favorite scene in Seinfeld ever. When when the clown goes to Kramer and he goes, "Are you still afraid of clowns?" And Kramer goes, "Yeah." And he's mesmerized.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line in Seinfeld history. Just looked at, yeah, a little. Crazy Joe Davola.
Yeah. So this was 1 3/4 stars, huh?
I would say that's about right. You know, we talked on our 13 Weeks episode on Patreon about that maybe Bigelow just didn't have it. I'd be curious if any fans out there think Bigelow had it, because I think that's something Vince and I are in agreement about. Of course, tweet us at Russo Koon TWC. Let us know what you think about Bigelow. Because for me, there was always something just missing there.
You want to know something too, Matt? I don't think that gear did him any favors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't think, if he, I don't know, bro. You know what I mean? If he would have, I don't know.
The Nia Jax of WrestleMania 10?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, bro. I just don't think the gear ever really helped them, you know? I think they're letting this match go way too long, bro. This shouldn't have been this long.
I mean, back in the day, you would have had a singlet or the King Kong Bundy outfit.
Or even like some Raider gear, some leather and silver and, just something, bro.
Do you know what big man knew how to dress and was dressed perfectly at every level of his career? Was Ray Traylor.
Akeem?
I was going to say Ray Traylor, Big Boss Man.
Yeah.
Because you think of like Big Bubba Rogers was a badass in a suit.
Yeah.
Boss Man with the boss in WCW with the prison guard gear, and then you guys dress him in the SWAT gear. Bam Bam Bigelow gets the victory, thank goodness, with a splash onto.
Yeah, a little too. I think that match went a little too long. There's no way they were ending this without Doink biting her backside.
Or maybe a Bundy moment where he slams down Dink. Dink is now stepping up to Bam Bam, telling him, "I'm not going to take this shit from you." And we have our moment. The crowd's into it, but you've got Luna behind him, and Luna is just beating the crap out of the little clown.
Is Bam Bam in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think he is.
Is Luna in the Hall of Fame?
She's not.
God, what are they waiting for? I don't understand.
I think that was a mess up. So they both went for the splash on Dink. He was supposed to roll away from both of them, but Luna got him and then pushed him away. And you can tell this was Ray Apollo instead of Matt Bourne, because Matt Bourne did like a really interesting frog splash leg drop, and Apollo just did a standard leg drop. Matt Bourne was in the first WrestleMania too.
Yeah, this has turned into a major, major, major cluster.
Vince is back there, or Vince is hitting the cough button, going, "Get them the hell out of there." Yeah,
that was ugly towards the end. Not good.
Yeah, and someone thought a lot of Bam Bam because he headlined a WrestleMania at one point.
Yeah.
So WrestleMania 10 was a landmark WrestleMania for WWE in a lot of ways. Of course, the 10th, of course, back in New York. But did you realize this was the first WrestleMania that did not involve one Hulk Hogan?
Wow. Seriously? He was in 1 through 9?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I did not know that, bro.
And Bill Clinton's in the audience. No, wait. It's the guy who got a ton of work on Jay Leno. And, look who's behind him. The IRS is behind him. It's a Bill Clinton impersonator. And then behind him is IRS, and he is waving to the crowd. Of course, at the time, Bill Clinton was...
hey, Jack Tunney in the house.
Well, all presidents sit together.
Yeah.
So I hope Lawler's wrestling because he's not wearing a shirt. But you've got Lawler, maybe a member of Hair Club for Men already, and Vince McMahon.
Do you own any Coliseum videotapes?
I don't think I've ever bought one. I used to rent them from Blockbuster,
Yeah.
And certain Blockbusters would have them and certain ones wouldn't. But I remember WrestleMania 3, what they're showing, WrestleMania 4, the next one they're going to show, had 2 videotapes. It was like a big deal because it was so long.
Yeah, I had all those tapes in my video store, all of them.
See, and people would come to your store just to get those tapes.
Now, I remember this because I thought the finish was a little weak.
Now, coming in, we have man, I just remember this feud just not working on so many levels. It's Randy Macho Man Savage, the tassel and matching hat era Savage, versus Crush, who apparently were good friends, and then Crush turned bad, and Macho Man is going to return to the ring, and he high-five as super babyface against Crush.
I wonder who has. I wonder who is in possession of all of Savage's ring gear, bro. Can you imagine that auction, Matt?
I think some of it's out there. I've seen some out there owned by collectors, and also I've seen it at Access too. So I believe WWE owns a lot of it, and Savage. There is a big market for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I know someone third hand who bought a lot of Savage gear, and it was fake. So there's, I guess buyer beware and that kind of thing. But Savage had a different outfit almost every match at this point. So there's probably a lot out there.
Great outfits, man. Like I said, bro, number one rule of being a star, you got to look like a star. That's number one.
And Savage still looked like a star. Of course, Vince wanted him in the booth, and Savage wanted to wrestle and even pitched a year-long feud with Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, which Vince did not like, and then Savage hit the road eventually. So this is a Falls Count Anywhere match. So here's the rules. Are you ready? Because it's different.
Go ahead.
The rules, this is from my source, Wikipedia. The rules stated that at any time a wrestler was pinned, he then had to make it back inside the ring within 60 seconds or he would lose the match. That's weird.
Bro, do you want to hear how naive and stupid I was? And we're talking 1999, bro. So I'm a 38-year-old man. Okay? Bro, do you know when Brian Adams and Brian Clark came to me with the Chronic idea? This is a shoot, Matt. Do you know at 38 years old I had no idea what Chronic meant?
I believe you. It was kind of a hip term at the time. It was brought into vogue with Dr. Dre's album, The Chronic, from a couple years earlier than that. And it was basically a tag team. It doesn't make much sense because you had two monsters and it was all about marijuana references.
Yeah, I had no freaking idea what The Chronic meant.
So the match started with Crush just attacked Randy Savage outside the ring. Our referee for this match is Joey Morella, Gorilla Monsoon's son.
Yeah.
With Savage attacked outside the ring, I guess Crush is now with Mr. Fuji. Brian Adams never really found the gimmick for him, or the moment for him. He had a lot of ability, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they look great. Man, I'm watching Savage here, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, how awkward must it have been to work in some of that gear? You know what I mean, bro? I mean, he's wearing a lot of material, man. I would think that would have to hinder him to some point.
So, Vince, I know you've watched wrestling a long time. It's WrestleMania 10. Is this the first time you ever saw Mr. Fuji interfere in a match?
Yeah. Mr. Fuji. Remember who was his tag team partner, Matt?
Saito?
No, before that. Come on, man.
Toru Tanaka?
No, Mr. Fuji and Professor Toru Tanaka.
Yeah, Toru Tanaka. Yeah.
Mr. Fuji and Toru Tanaka. Yep.
And Tanaka was also a James Bond villain.
Yep.
And we're watching Crush now decimate Savage, put him in the Tree of Woe. When I was a young teenager, I used to watch wrestling a lot because in California we had cable. There was a company called California Championship Wrestling that had Jack Armstrong, and it had Toru Tanaka was the big heel. So he was still wrestling when I was a kid.
And the big feud was, Matt, Mr. Fuji, Professor Toru Tanaka against Tony Garea, and who was his partner?
Martel?
No.
Who was it?
The Happy Hawaiian, Dean Ho.
Oh. Now, Garea was a tag team champ with several different partners.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yep. You remember Dean Ho?
I don't.
Oh, yeah, the Happy Hawaiian, they called him.
But Garea has perfect hair. He's the Steve Garvey of wrestling.
Yes, definitely.
Now, this is the danger when you use powder. If you use powder and put it in your hands and someone kicks your hands like Savage did, it's going to go in your eyes. And you would think Fuji would have warned Crush about that. Fuji's just great, dude. What were your interactions like with Mr. Fuji, if any?
He was just I mean, bro, he really was just like he was really like a wise old man. I mean, very smart, very intelligent, very soft-spoken. But I also know, like, I also had heard behind the scenes he was like a big ribber. You know, obviously I didn't see that side of him. I didn't hang out with the boys. But supposedly he was a big ribber, too, behind the scenes.
And anybody who has a long okay, so Savage gets the pin. And he has to go back in the ring. So as Savage hit his elbow drop off the top rope, he rolled him outside the ring to pin him, which I think is not really the psychology of the match. And then he get back in the ring. And
see, now if I would have booked these rules, they would have crucified me, bro. Crucified me.
But you know it's your fault because you got on screen. You know. It's like,
so what is it now? You pin the guy, but then you get 60 seconds to get back in the ring?
That's it. After 60 seconds, after the pin.
Well, I guess I do remember the finish of this vividly, so I guess that makes sense for the finish. I have no idea, Matt, why I remember the finish of this vividly. No idea why I remember.
And, you know, so Fuji puts the water on his eyes to wake him up. Who knew all he needed was water? Hey, Vince, I didn't know you watched wrestling a long time. Can you explain something to me about wrestling?
Yes.
So if somebody puts somebody in a sleeper, right, and they put him out, this is in old school, right, and they win the match with a sleeper, right?
Right.
Why is the wrestler the most qualified person in the arena to wake the person up out of the sleeper?
He knows how to undo. He knows how to undo the damage he did, bro.
He's like, it's like you broke it, you fix it, right?
Yeah, that's so funny, man.
It was like, okay, we got doctors on the ringside, but Dusty Rhodes, if you could please wake up this man before you leave.
Yeah.
That used to be the gimmick, right? Every match, if you put him to sleep, you had to wake him up. That was your job.
Yeah.
So now we're back in the ring wrestling. The water has awakened Kona Crush, reminded him of his days surfing in Hawaii, and he is now a house of fire. Crush never looked better. Look at him. He looks great.
Yeah, no, he does. I love that Team Chronic. I love those two guys together, man. I mean, God.
So a mistake WCW made, and this wasn't you, but, you know, when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall came out as their own names, it was super cool, right?
Right.
And then Brian Clark and Brian Adams, and you had all these real names. Instead of having these guys just debut as Chronic right away, you know, or find them new gimmicks, they just used their real names and thought it would get over like Hall and Nash, but it didn't.
Yeah. They're going into the finish here because I remember the pin takes place backstage.
A super kick, devastating from Crush, and they're in the hallway. They're headed into one of those infamous. They call it a vomitorium, right?
What they call it?
A vomitorium. The overhang right there.
Yeah,
that's the name. I don't know why. Maybe there's a reason. Vomitorium. Google it. It's and they're headed back to the stage area, and we're watching Savage beat Crush from pillar to post, throwing him through the doors and going backstage, which at the time was kind of unusual.
Yeah, kind of a neat view. God, I don't know why I remember this finish. I think I remember because I didn't like it.
The infamous curtain and pulls that WWE uses to this very day backstage.
Yep.
So Savage gets the 3 count backstage, and he's taken him far enough away from the ring using the rules of the match where it seems unlikely he's going to make it back in 60 seconds. Oh, Savage is back. Savage doesn't.
Yeah, you remember what happens here?
I don't.
He hog ties him up by the ankle so he can't get back to the ring.
Oh. This might have been we've seen it since, but I don't recall seeing this before.
Yeah, that's the finish.
So he just so happens to find the perfect setup to hog tie him up. And you don't let go. He's going to kill him. Savage trying to keep he's trying to. This isn't going to work. He's using his mouth. They didn't think this through, Vince. They didn't think it through. He says, forget it. Fuck it. Visually, it would have worked better if he would have stayed up there, but they didn't.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Savage is like, fuck it, I'm just going to win the match. He hog ties him. You've got cameramen all around. You've got someone in the background who looks to be maybe Pat.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't supposed to, crumble like that. He was supposed to stay upright.
In WWE in 2019. Uh-oh. Fuji had to get in the ring and take the world's worst bump. But Fuji at this point was just running on.
Now, Fuji's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the 60 seconds went up despite Fuji's attempts. And Savage has his moment in the WrestleMania crowd. And very confused young lady in the front row. This was definitely not where Savage should have been on the card at this time. Do you think they're giving him enough respect?
No. No way. It's weird, Matt, because, I'm looking around at the crowd here. You're not seeing that many signs. I wonder what really brought on the sign phenom during the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? Because you're not seeing too many signs in the crowd here.
DX and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You think?
I think so. I think it was definitely, being able just to write Suck It or Austin 316, very simply. And then it just caught on, I mean, we've seen some videos where there's more signs than people,
Yeah.
Boy, did I hate those signs, man, when I went to shows. Oh, I'll tell the person in front of me, I'd be like, dude, your sign is not going to be in front of me while there's matches going on.
Yeah. I always hated this shit with the fake president, the fake Ted Turner. I always hated this stuff, man. I don't know why.
Todd Pettengill interviewing the fake president. I'm sure this was something that, I mean, this is a Vinceism. Vince loves this crap, right?
Oh, yeah. He loves this.
So we've got a very cool match coming up that I have actually done a watch along with of just this match with the person who is in it. And I'm going to let you be surprised. And still we're talking to Bill Clinton, but I don't know though, dude, like I think it's better than showing like these 10-minute video packages.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't argue that, bro. There's so many packages, bro, in today's big shows.
And there's IRS. We talked earlier, I think we talked maybe off the show about the 8-hour Mania that people are saying. if we don't need the packages if we're already there, you know, we don't need.
Yeah, no, exactly. The people are already watching. Why are you showing us all these packages? They know the story. They're there. They're watching.
The packages are like 2 hours. It's like a 2-hour deal. So, like, if you're going to WrestleMania, pack a lunch, man, because you're going to be there for a while this year. Todd
Here's a fan fest. Here it is.
What's that?
See, maybe I'll make a cameo here someplace.
We've got Doink now, showing Doink in the fan fest you were talking about, because you said you worked this fan fest.
Yep.
God, there's like nobody there. I mean, there's like 200 people there. Do these accesses now? I mean, we don't go to them. You know why we don't go to them?
Why?
The lines are too long. There's too many people. It's thousands and thousands of people that are there now.
That's crazy.
And a lot of this stuff,
my son did this. I remember my kids did that at the Fan Fest.
The sumo wrestling.
I got pictures of them in those suits.
And you get to take a picture with Paul Bearer. It's definitely different now, you know. They just have big, long lines for signings, and they have some displays and stuff up. If you have a kid and you've never been, take your kid to Access. But if you're, you know, otherwise, don't. For 10-year-old Matthew, it was awesome because you got to see all the wrestlers there. But otherwise, it's kind of a brutal day. So they're showing the Paramount Theater MSG. That's the Overflow Theater.
Yes. Yep. If the event is sold out, you could buy a ticket to the Paramount.
And a lot of times people will say, "Hey, man, we're playing MSG," but they really mean the smaller theater of the Paramount, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that in the same building?
Yes. Yep.
Is it below it? Where is it located?
God, bro, I don't really remember, but it is in the same building.
Showing another WrestleMania flashback to WrestleMania 4 of Macho Man Randy Savage going through round after round of competitors to win the WWE Championship. And look who's in the ring right now. It is wrestling legend Leilani Kai. So you know what's coming up now, right?
Guess Medusa, right?
Yes, indeed. We have Alundra Blaze in her WrestleMania moment. And we did this match when I was working with her as a watch-along. And, of course, you know, the story about if you're on Mania, your time's getting cut. And their time definitely got cut.
Well, that second match went way too long.
If you now look at the whole show she gets. Look at the look, the outfit, the smile. Wow, Medusa looks like $1 million here, huh?
How old is she? How old is she here, man?
Dude, are you trying to get my ass kicked?
94.
I'm not even doing this.
94. I'm gonna guess 94. 2004, 25. 30?
Probably. I mean, she's 35 now, so she's.
Look at the pyro, bro.
Dude,
pyro.
She gets pyro on all sides of the ring. She was really being pushed. Like, this was a new thing where we are really pushing this female wrestler because we have found the star to hook the whole division to in Medusa in the form of Alundra Blaze. She gets the biggest entrance so far. Not Macho Man, not Bret Hart, not Owen Hart. Alundra Blaze gets this big entrance. They really, either they lost their focus or they just lost faith in this idea. And they flashed up the name Owen Hart. That was a WCW moment.
Yeah, they kind of went nowhere with Alundra, bro. I don't know what was behind it, and like I don't know why it fizzled, but yeah, they went nowhere with it.
Now,
and I remember, like, you know, she had all these opponents she wanted to line up to bring in from Japan, like, you know, she was like taking the bull by the horns because she wanted this to work, but for some reason they just never put the time or attention into it.
Now, we interviewed Leilani Kai recently, a year ago, in the wake of the Moolah stuff, you know,
Right.
And Leilani Kai tells a different story. She doesn't tell a story of Moolah being this terrible person. Leilani Kai, of course, was one of Moolah's girls, and someone that Vince trusted in this role to make Medusa look good.
Yeah, Leilani Kai has gone on to bury me publicly, bro, because her claim is that when I was at WCW, that I wanted her to work like a mud wrestling match. Matt, I swear to you, I got to tell you, I don't remember anything about that. Zero. I wonder, like, I ask myself, I don't remember, but I ask myself, my God, Vince, if you wanted to have a mud wrestling match in 1999, would you have wanted Leilani Kai in it?
Especially with who was there.
I mean, that's what I asked. That's why, like, it just, she's buried me, and it just confuses me.
That sounds like that sounds dubious at best. That sounds like she's just saying that to explain something about her career, and it's easy to go Vince Russo.
Yeah.
To me, but, if you did that, if I thought you did that, I'd say something. But
yeah, I mean, if I remember doing that or thought I did that, I'd say I did it. But I don't recall that at all. And
I love that that you didn't do that, but because of the way people are now, you're kind of forced to say I don't remember that. But I'm pretty sure what you're saying is that didn't really happen.
Yeah.
And now we have the comeback by Lunder Blaze, a vertical suplex, and they're doing a very rushed match because their time is cut. I'm so glad we don't see the hair mare anymore. Do you remember the hair mare?
She I know what you're talking. Yeah, what a God, she was she great athlete, man. She was a great athlete.
I mean, there's a reason she was put in this role as we're watching, going for the bridging suplex, and she gets the victory. And we see why this beautiful, athletic person, Medusa, as a Lunder Blaze, was handpicked by Vince. Look at this front row. Look at these guys.
Look at this front row, man.
Mae Young, Moolah, Nikolai Volkov, Freddie Blas,
Captain Lou. I would love to know do you know the origins of the Alundra Blaze name? Like, where the hell do you get a name like Alundra?
Yeah, I believe it was a brainstorm. I think, Medusa's always been, trailblazing and always uses that trailblazing thing. And I think it was a name presented to her by creative, and it was something I don't think she hated at the time. It's a creative, positive, good name. I think I don't have any problem with the name. Alundra is
a little awkward. You ever know anybody named Alundra?
I've never known anybody named Arn or Alundra.
Yeah. I mean, I like Blaze. I was there for that. Were you a huge Morton Downey mark? I was a huge Morton Downey mark, Matt.
I used to watch it like everybody else. We're watching a flashback of the WrestleMania moment with Roddy Piper and Morton Downey Jr. with the fire extinguisher. And, with this being the 10th anniversary, they're taking a fond look back at all the previous 9 WrestleManias.
Yeah.
And there's Howard with his...
I still go back on YouTube and watch Morton Downey Jr. You talk about a guy ahead of his time, bro. Way ahead of his time, man.
He kind of worked himself into a shoot, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he had this whole outrageous character down, but he didn't realize it was a show. And here comes Oscar, who still does appearances.
Yes, he does.
I've met Oscar. And with Mabel and Mo, men on a mission.
This whole gimmick was just silly, man.
I hated it. This was one of many attempts they made, I think, to appeal to the kid audience. I think it worked in some cases when the bushwhackers, but in this case, it's like they want to be hip, kind of. And the Madison Square Garden, New York crowd is like, dude, this is where hip hop started, dude. This isn't real. And coming up, we have, facing them, is going to be the Mountie with his tag team partner, I believe, is going to be the current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, PCO. The Quebecer Pierre-Carl Alouette. So this is really
now, do you notice, like, every time, like, even to this day, Vince's attempts at cool are like so uncool. And I say, bro, you can that was Rhonda at Night or something. Rhonda
Shears up all night. Up all night. She used to do that promo. And here comes Shawn Michaels getting a piece of Rhonda Shears here.
Yeah. What I was saying, though, Matt, it's still that way today. Burt Reynolds, I remember him there.
Wait, hold on a second. Look at this. What do you think of Burt Reynolds? Are you still there, Vince?
Yeah.
Do you see Burt Reynolds is on the screen? Apparently, he had broken his hand a couple days before because a guy tried to mug him and he knocked him out.
Oh, really?
He's a tough guy.
Interesting.
Burt
Interesting.
Yeah.
What I was saying, though, bro, is every attempt those guys, bro, people in the wrestling bubble, the attempts of being cool are like so outdated. Like, me and Stevie Richards were talking about this on my show. Bro, when's the last time SNL was over?
Well, it depends, though. A lot of people like what's going on now with SNL. I think SNL is probably has the same ratings it always has. It just has a different audience.
Would you categorize SNL as cool?
Probably not cool.
I mean, I just, the fact that they're using those, and again, like, who's their audience? I mean, they on one hand, they try to appeal towards kids, and on the other hand, they have two guys showing up at the Wrestle Rumble at the WrestleMania, and the show's on at 11:30 at night. Like, it's confusing to me.
And attempts to look cool, I think we see in this WrestleMania 10. If you see, Burt Reynolds wasn't exactly cool at the time, and Little Richard wasn't exactly cool at the time.
No.
And it's one thing that is cool. We look at the Quebecers manager is Johnny Polo, otherwise known as Raven.
God, I swear to God, Matt, I talk about it all the time. There was a department next to publications called Creative Services. And like Bruce, whoever was on creative, they would go down to Creative Services. Yeah, we got an idea, men on a mission, this, that, and the other thing. Like, draw us up some artwork so we could see what it looked like. I mean, bro, with all due respect, like, how the hell could they have ever approved this wardrobe?
It's the worst.
Like, I mean, seriously, it literally looks like a massive rib. It looks like a massive rib on these guys.
It was like someone really good made the Quebecers outfits, and the next day they were out of town or had a day off. And then somebody else did the Men on a Mission outfits because they're...
I mean, with all due respect, like, how do guys like Bruce and Vince, like, how are they looking at the drawings of these outfits and thinking it's a good freaking idea?
Putting Mabel in the pajama pants, also having written on the back of Mo, "Whoop, there it is," written on the back of his tights. And here comes Mabel in his giant diaper.
It's crazy. It's so silly, man.
And also the colors. He's got "Whoop, there it is" on the front of the... it's... Men on a Mission, the whole thing was a miss. It was awful. And here comes...
Johnny Polo, bro, ringside.
Yes, sir, Raven. Look at him. He's throwing up both arms in the air in that same pose that we would come to know in that Raven look later on. What do you think of the fact that Carl Alouette, who we're seeing without the eye patch right now, is now the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion in 2019?
Well, that's a good for him, bro. That's a great, great story. Good for him, man.
He has basically the same physique. He's older. He does these videos every Monday night where it shows that he's really Frankenstein. And he created his own persona in 2018. So by the time 2019 rolled around, he was hip and cool in the wrestling world. And now
That's awesome.
He's going to wrestle at Madison Square Garden for New Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team titles, as well as the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
So no one cares about this match, and this is what I'm
a
talking about.
a lot of this. Oh man, bro, for WrestleMania 10, I mean, a lot of these matches are meaningless, bro. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you had the opening match, which was tremendous. The second match was a throwaway. You had Savage not really put in a main event position.
Right.
This match is like, who gives a shit? I mean,
of the previous match, it says that
Alundra,
Meltzer says that the two did all they could given the amount of time they had, but had almost negative heat, and in the building, people treat it as if it was intermission. It's going to be a very long and very difficult process in getting this division over. Mm. And he gave that 1.25 stars, and in this match, he gives it 1.25 stars as well. So we're kind of have a pay-per-view, a tale of two cities, some great matches and some just really bad stuff.
Yeah, WrestleMania 10, bro. The fact that it was WrestleMania 10, I would think it should have been better than what was booked.
The Quebecers are the holders of the tag team title right now. So this is the number one contenders for the tag team title that get the shot at WrestleMania. That's where the tag team division is. I've heard privately from wrestlers in the WWE that Vince McMahon does not care for tag team wrestling. Is that your experience?
I mean, he never passed that along to me, bro. But I mean, we really weren't doing that much tag team wrestling back then. But I mean, he never relayed that to me.
I guess it's more of the fact that he's not a fan of tag teams, because Bruce has said on his show, Bruce Pritchard has said on his show, that Vince didn't really like tag teams because of the pay thing. Like, you have to pay two guys instead of one.
Yeah. Well, Bruce would know more about that than me.
And then of Johnny Polo, look at him. No one could have ever predicted that he would become the Raven.
Never in a billion years, bro. I remember this finishing move.
Yep. And to this day, PCO is jumping off the top rope. Oh my God, that's pretty far away. Oh, he killed him. He did the patented body splash, the senton onto Mabel, who kicks out. They tried to push Mabel as a monster later on. Vince must have liked Mabel.
Yeah, but nothing worked. And I think this had a lot to do with it, bro. When you debut somebody like this, it's going to be hard to get rid of that stigma, man. It's going to be hard to take this person seriously.
And I mean, a different outfit, a different song, a different gimmick. These guys could have gotten over.
Yeah, yep.
Although Mo was peculiar. He had that weird equal sign shaved on the back of his head. This is not good.
This ain't good, bro. This ain't
God. And then Mabel would do that weird leg whip, that is like, it's supposed to be like, oh, look, a big man can do a little man move, but it just looked terrible. Can you say who the worst wrestler you ever saw in the ring was? Like, someone maybe who was supposed to be good, but in the ring it was always a disaster?
Mm-hmm.
As you think about that, they hit their finisher with the ref's back turned, and the ref is still distracted. He's still distracted, and
yeah, I hate that shit.
Win by distracted referee should be a category.
Bro, it's funny because I'm watching this and like this is a huge cluster, but I mean the people seem into it.
Oh my God,
more than they should be.
The person I always saw in the ring that I always kind of winced at was Steve McMichael. I always thought he was rough.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a match with him and Goldberg at Starrcade that's really rough. And there's some confusion in the ring as to what happened. So men on a mission to their finisher on Pierre, while Oscar stopped Johnny Polo from interfering. Mo clotheslines Pierre over the top rope, and Mabel splashed him on the floor and was counted out. So the faces were counted out, and Meltzer goes on to say the finish was really weak, 1.25 stars.
Yeah, no, I got to be honest with you. I have not disagreed with any of Meltzer's ratings so far. I mean, outside of that first match, now a lot of the rest of this is forgettable, man. Okay, they better pick it up a little bit, bro.
Coming up next, we have the match that the Observer readers voted as the worst match of the pay-per-view.
Worse than what we've seen?
Yes, that's what the Observer readers voted, but also Meltzer gives this a 0.5 star. I'm going to let it unravel.
Oh my God.
As you see it. And you will not be surprised. This is not good. This is very bad. So this was a great flashback to 1990 WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, and the passing of the torch. It could have really worked out, right?
Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
We talked on our episode a couple weeks ago about what if Sting had this spot instead of Ultimate Warrior. I think history would have been different if it was Sting.
Yeah. God, you got my curiosity piqued now as far as what match this is.
So coming out, it looks like Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block.
Is that who it is?
I think so. And then Rhonda Shear's coming out. I could be wrong. New Kids on the Block, 1994. Yeah, that could be right. They were already.
Yeah, it was. You were right.
Their peak. Their peak was probably 89, 90, and so
they just released all the New Kids on the Block music on vinyl, bro. Just released it.
Wow. Well,
Matt, Yates, that's Yates, the timekeeper. I can't think of his first name.
It was Donnie Wahlberg, which they flashed his name on the screen as we looked at Rhonda Shear's. Couple production glitches on this episode, this WrestleMania, which is unusual for WWE. And Donnie Wahlberg was the edgy, cool, street New Kid on the Block.
Yes, still is.
Still is to this day. And he is the special ring announcer for this. And he is introducing Mr. Perfect, who is going to have...
Wow, Mr. Perfect was in a match that was 1/4 star, bro?
No.
Okay.
No, he's the referee.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember what the hell this was, man.
Well, I'll tell you, this match is for the WWE. This match is for the WWE World Championship. It is Yokozuna versus Lex Luger.
Oh, boy.
And it's 15 minutes of death, basically. It is. There is a nerve hold by Yokozuna that I believe lasts for minutes. And we are going to have to talk about this, but we have some other stuff to talk about as Mr. Perfect comes in the ring in his perfect referee gear, not just striped shirt, but striped pants as well, with a huge reception from the MSG audience. Perfect was kind of not wrestling as well at this point. I think he took one of those Lloyd's of London things. So we're waiting for our competitors to get to the ring. As the arena goes dark, we have so let me ask you this. Did you feel at the time, so as someone who worked in the company, that Lex Luger was going to be a future big name, future big champion?
Well, all that shit, man. I mean, it made no sense. I mean, to this day, I don't know the story behind it. I mean, they had the whole buildup with the Lex Express and the money they spent on the Lex Express. I mean, he was definitely going to be the champion. That's what they set it up for. None of this made any sense to me. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't know what the story is. I'm sure you know more about it than I do, Matt.
Well, I think the story was that they had lost confidence, and there was a group of people in the company that thought it should be Bret, and another group of company who thought it should be Luger. And that's who you go forth with. And even up until this WrestleMania, they had not decided. Vince, of course, was a big Luger guy, but I think as time went on, And as they saw more and more of Luger, they decided maybe this guy's not the guy. And they even had a celebration at the previous SummerSlam as if he won the title with balloons and confetti, but it was not a title change. I believe
WWE does that all the time, bro, where, they lead the people down a certain path. And then, shit like that is happening backstage behind the scenes. The fans have no idea about. They don't know what's happening. They don't know the political structure. And all of a sudden, they're going down a certain road, and it doesn't deliver the way it, organically should have delivered. And then people are just like, what the F? I mean, they do it to this day, bro.
Well, the crowd is definitely into Lex Luger as he comes to the ring. He looks like a superstar. He's he looks like what Vince McMahon would want his champion to look like. You guys on Casting the Marks over on russosbrand.com, which is a weekly show, your most popular show, where you take clips of the sheet writers and you kind of talk about them and make fun of them. You guys make fun of this whole thing that Meltzer says that plans change, and you kind of characterize it as an excuse he uses for not knowing what's going on. But dude, plans change, right?
I know plans change. And bro, listen, I would buy plans change if once in a while peppered in would be, I made a mistake.
That's fair.
Then I buy plans change. No, I buy it. But bro, when nobody can ever say I made a mistake, I was given the wrong information, then I would buy plans change.
But and that, like I said, that's fair. At the same time, there's no other company in the world where plans change at the last second based on the whim of one person than the WWE, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But that's why you can't, if you know that, that's why you can't go on the limb on shit, bro. If you know there's a good chance of something changing, then you don't go out on the limb.
But for instance, Roman Reigns' entire family was flown out and for WrestleMania in San Francisco, and they changed the plans and had Seth Rollins cash in. The plans changed almost up to the last minute of Undertaker's loss at WrestleMania, as well as the finish to Roman Reigns last year. It doesn't do the WWE any favors when, as you say, they just switch course right away on a long-standing plot line.
Yeah, it doesn't, man. It doesn't, and it's a real disconnect with the fans. It really is.
They should have given Luger a run. I firmly believe that, with the buildup, because of the slam of Yokozuna on the Intrepid,
right?
Because of everything, they should have at least tried it, And Yoko is particularly heavy here. Of course, he was always heavy, but he was particularly heavy here, and it does come into play in the match. It got to a point where he got too big to wrestle, right?
Yeah. His health was an issue.
I mean, but an all-time great. Yoko at his prime, working with Shawn Michaels and other guys, was a real credible champion, I thought, for the WWE.
Oh, I definitely believe that, without a doubt, man.
In history, you think he's underrated?
I guess you'd have to say so, Matt, because, you never get is he in the Hall of Fame?
I think he is. I mean, he definitely is, because if he wasn't, we'd be hearing about it. Dude, he's so big, he got stuck.
Bro, I don't think he is.
He's got to be, right? We can look that up.
Yeah, look that up, because I don't think he is.
Oh, Luger with a patented flying body press off the top rope. That is not something you see from Lex Luger, and he's doing everything to kind of be a babyface in this match. Big elbow drop.
Yeah, it's working hard.
He is working hard. Because Yokozuna really is the post-Hogan heel, or the post-Hogan champion, right? Like, they tried it with Ultimate Warrior, but really Yoko's the guy who really held the title the most until they went in the Shawn direction.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2012.
Oh, he was? Okay. Who inducted him?
That's a good question.
Does it say?
That was before that was a thing, but you'd have to think they'd induct him because of their positive relationship with that family.
Yeah.
Luger going for that body slam, and that's the thing too. We just saw footage earlier of Stud slamming Andre, so the anticipation was up. Here, if he slams Yokozuna, it's like he slammed him again.
God, what the hell is Jim Cornette wearing?
He seems to have gotten the same exact jacket Bret Hart did, but
I mean, that looks totally out of character for him.
I guarantee it was your whole you said Vince got on you about not dressing up for the Garden, So
yeah.
Vince is probably like, goddamn, Jim, it's the Garden. You better wear something good.
So he overdressed.
He's got tails. He's got gold pants and a gold tennis racket. This is not what Jim Cornette would have picked for himself.
No.
And they're going back and forth. Mr. Perfect is in there. The match is now starting to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Up to this point, I mean, it's not horrible.
But this is going to be a 15-minute match. And now we've reached the point where Luger is just laying down.
Now, how does Bret find his way back into the mix if he lost to Owen?
So the deal is that each person would have 2 matches. That was the first thing, because Bret and Luger both won the Royal Rumble. So they say they both have the title shot, but they'll each have a second match to make it fair. But Luger won a coin toss, which meant he didn't have to have a second match, and Bret had to have Owen first. It's very confusing.
Very confusing, bro. Very confusing.
But it should have been set up for whoever was to win the title was going to be set up to be an underdog. So it makes sense that they went with Bret.
Man, I remember that day, bro. There was a report in the Daily News that morning, and they had the finish of who was going to be the champion at the end of WrestleMania. There used to be an article in the New York Daily News called the Slammer. And the Slammer was a guy by the name of Hank Winicky, who was a sports writer. He used to get all his wrestling information from a guy named Blackjack Brown. And I remember that day they had the finish of WrestleMania, bro. And I don't know if that played into them changing the finish. I can't remember. I can't remember if they changed the finish because of that or they left it the way it was. I know they were aware of it. I remember it being a big deal that day, but I don't remember if the finish was changed or not.
And that is a story about the finish coming out and that maybe it had an effect, but it definitely had an effect when you accidentally spoiled the Royal Rumble on WWE TV and they changed the finish.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was, yeah. I mean, again, it was just the booking was so freaking obvious. I didn't know who was going to go over. It was just so obvious.
Well, while we're watching Yoko stand there in a nerve hold, which is going to go on for a long time. At the same time, in WCW, over the last week that this happened, Cactus Jack had his ear ripped off.
Wow, did he really?
You were aware he had his ear ripped off, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, Japan, right?
Yep, against Vader. He did his famous hangman spot where he got himself thrown out of the ring but caught his head stuck between the ropes. And Luger got on his feet, by the way, as we're watching the match, and went back and forth and just ran to Yokozuna and fell. So more of Luger laying down and Yokozuna standing there, very blown up, as they say.
I think I've seen worse matches than this, though. I got to be honest.
Yeah, but title match,
Yeah.
At WrestleMania, I think that's the thing. Yoko with those patented chops. And I mean, they got the energy now. It's just, maybe just the wrong two guys to work together, you know?
Yeah.
Luger had good matches, you know. Luger had a lot of good matches against good competitors. Yoko had a lot of great matches against great competitors. Maybe they just needed somebody else in there besides whoever they had.
Yeah.
So looking at this time point,
God, Cornette's not even wearing the glasses, nothing. He went Hollywood for this.
Cornette looking to go. And what do you think? You've got Fuji and Cornette. So Fuji is his representative because he makes him Japanese, I guess. And then Cornette's there to talk. Is that why he's?
Yeah, I mean, that was kabuki-ish too, bro. Like, I never got that either. I mean, that didn't make sense to me.
It was like Cornette was the interpreter, you know? Like, I think it would have been better, as much as I like Mr. Fuji, if Cornette was just managing Yokozuna, you know?
Yeah.
What did you think of Cornette's time on screen for WWE?
During this era?
Yeah, pre-Attitude.
Well, I mean, I didn't like this. I mean, what else did he do? I don't remember. Who else did he represent?
He ended up representing Owen and Bulldog a little bit later. You know, and he was used, you know, as an announcer, as an on-screen personality. And, of course, later on, you helped him out by writing stuff for the NWA to come up.
It seems like a lot of times they were just finding something for him to do. Like, I don't think he fits into this role. I don't think he works with Owen and Bulldog. I mean, as an announcer, he works. He's a very colorful announcer, very witty announcer. Bro, that guy, that photographer that you just saw ringside that got up there, did you happen to catch that?
I did. Who's that?
That was Steve Taylor, bro. Steve Taylor was the director of operations. That was the guy that made the call to me about the Sting riggers.
Oh, wow.
That was the guy right there that you saw.
Now, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. Luger is sitting there like nothing's happening. Yokozuna is sitting there like nothing's happening. He's got him.
Yeah, look at that. What are they doing? They're just hanging out watching TV, man. That's awkward, bro.
Yeah, and it just goes on and on. They went away from that shot.
You gotta wonder, like, what you know, Vince is calling this stuff, and meanwhile he's watching this and he knows it's the shits. I mean, how hard is that, bro? How hard is it to be calling this? You know it's the shits, and there's not a damn thing you could do.
If you turn up your volume as Luger made a short comeback, you can tell that Vince is announcing like it's the greatest goddamn thing he's ever seen.
Right, of course.
Look at him go. He's got it right. Like,
that's what made him great, though.
Dude, he was really good. And plus the crowd, I don't think they sweetened it, but there is constant noise going on. But you can always tell in a match by how many people are standing up, and there's nobody standing up.
Yeah.
And the crowd, if you look at the faces, looks kind of disengaged. And they're still in this nerve hold, dude. But now Yokozuna has gone down to a laying down position. This is just resting, right? Is this anything but resting?
Yeah, this has really gotten bad in the last 5 minutes or so.
Okay. They're doing the raise the hand gimmick. Of course, if Luger does fall asleep, Yoko's in charge of waking him up. And then it never worked better than it did for Hulk Hogan. You know, the third hand stays in the air. We're to a double nerve hold. Luger.
Man, I got to tell you, Matt, this is not what I remember. And it was probably the fact that it was my first big show, my first WrestleMania, Madison Square Garden, the excitement. This is a bad show, bro.
Oh, big belly to belly on Luger. And
I mean, after that first match, this has been a dud, bro.
Yoko making it to his feet and pulling Luger to his feet. Yoko is really struggling here. But the point is, though, is what the F happened in WrestleMania. A lot of it is the buildup and the stories, right? So the buildup and the stories here, especially with the 2-belt scenario in the ladder match, and also the Bret Hart situation. It all kind of made sense, at least for those matches. In WrestleMania now, what do you see being the difference between then and now?
I mean, the stories are forced. The stories are literally developed 2-3 weeks before the event. A lot of the stories are the same because there are no personal issues. There's just nothing put into it, man. Whoa.
And here comes the body slam. He almost, well, I guess that counted as a body slam. And the crowd does pop for that. Still nobody on their feet, 1 or 2 people. Luger going for his finisher, the loaded forearm. Cornette up on the apron. Oh, look at Cornette doing the perfect slingshot in the ring.
Yeah, that was good.
You know, he's shades of Bobby Heenan. Cornette taking an amazing bump, and Fuji not. He goes for the pin. Kurt Hennig the fix is in. The fix is in. Kurt Hennig is not counting the pin. Luger confronting Hennig. And Hennig still refusing to count. So at least they're playing Luger like if he doesn't win,
he should have won.
Yeah. And then here's the finish coming up. Well, he's going for the pin again, imploring Mr. Perfect to make the count. And the crowd imploring him to make the count as well.
Wow, that's a horrible finish.
Oh,
man.
And he calls for the DQ on Lex Luger.
That's a bad finish, man. Bad.
It's really bad, right?
You know, I mean, you always consider, the fans are going to shit on that. I mean, they had to know the fans were going to shit on that, bro. When you know the fans are going to shit on something, you got to come up with something different, bro.
Meltzer says, although this didn't come across on television, apparently this match didn't have much crowd reaction and was filled with boring chants that did not come across on TV. So maybe he's getting a live report. Meltzer goes on, the guy about Yokozuna says the guy's gotten so heavy he has no stamina. He can work in a sense for someone who is his weight, but he needs to lose a lot of weight. Awful match. I would say it's awful in the sense that for the WWE title, for WrestleMania, we expect more. And now Luger has once again not won the title. And Pettengill goes to interview Mr. Perfect, where he explains his actions. And he says he's Mr. Perfect. He calls it as he saw it. And I believe this is going to get, I guess the plan was for this to pivot Luger into a feud with Perfect. And as Luger confronts Perfect backstage, give me one reason why, and it better be a better one. And then Luger says, or Hennig says, you don't know, you never touch an official. And you have Dave Hebner in a suit back there. And
that's Jack Doan with the blonde hair. That's the one that took Howard Finkel down, that he cried over.
Oh, my gosh. So they're doing a pull-apart, but no wrestlers are involved. Luger and Mr. Perfect. Look at Dave is standing on something.
Tony Chimmel.
They have an all-star team, the dream team backstage to break it up. And look at Vince. He is dismayed. And Lawler's happy because he's a heel. And unbelievable. Luger's been robbed here, Vince says. And this was a good team, an underrated team, Lawler and McMahon, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Vince McMahon is saying, listen to the fans here, how they feel about that. But really, the fans are kind of booing the entire idea, not just the fact that the good guy lost, right?
Yeah, that's the wrong kind of heat, man. Wrong kind of heat. And you know that going in.
So coming up next, it's not getting better. It's not getting better for WrestleMania 10. Maybe the lesson is here that, WrestleManias haven't always been fantastic.
Yeah, but bro, WrestleMania 10, it should have been, oh no. Oh, okay.
So they're showing a flashback of a previous WrestleMania, the blindfold match with Martel and Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts has a great explanation as to why that should have worked, psychologically, but it just didn't happen. And that
whatever happened to Harvey Whippleman, bro? Whatever happened to him?
He's still there, I think.
No. He was let go a while ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I know that when Dutch Mantel went to go work for them, it was Harvey who went to the store to buy him his outfit.
Really?
Yeah. So, I know he was backstage for a long time.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
And now we start what everybody's been waiting for, a WrestleMania moment featuring Harvey Whippleman and an indignant Howard Finkel. This is not... Okay. So, coming up that we're all looking forward to, we've got, of course, the ladder match. We've got also the headline match, Bret Hart facing Yokozuna again, as we watch this Atom Bomb come to the ring now in defense of Harvey Whippleman. And someone's got to come to the defense of Atom Bomb, and now we have our next match, and look who it is.
Earthquake. Oh, my God.
And a belly-to-belly. What do you think is more powerful, an Earthquake or an Atom Bomb? Well, I'll let you think that over as Earthquake does his Strowman Slam on Atom Bomb, and, of course, his finisher. And the crowd. Is
this it? This is it, right? This was a short match, wasn't it?
This is it. He's going for the patented Earthquake.
That's it?
Yep. Sit down splash that almost.
Atom Bomb was another real stupid gimmick, bro. I mean, with all due respect, horrible, stupid gimmick.
If you want to see some fun stuff, you can watch Atom Bomb before he was in WWE when he was the Night Stalker in WCW. And there's some matches with him and Undertaker as Mark Callis, and him and some other guys that are just amazingly not good.
I you know what, Matt? I don't think I knew that at all.
He was the Night Stalker, but even as the Night Stalker, he had this tremendous look. Brian Clark had just an amazing look, I think, for wrestling.
Did he have the long hair and all?
Yeah, the long hair, the kind of dark eyes, the kind of weird.
Yeah, I got to look that up. I don't recall that.
Oh, it's atrocious. But you can tell why WWE would sign them, because they were signing anybody who kind of looked good. Then they signed Sid Vicious, they signed him, they signed Mark Callis. And that was our short match. I believe that may have been scheduled to go for longer. Thank God that's over. Vince, finally, we're starting to see what the match we've all come for, which is the ladder match, as Todd Pettengill, as your primary backstage announcer, is trying to interview Yokozuna. What do you remember of the lead up for this Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon match?
That's a makeshift set too, by the way. Those lockers don't exist in Madison Square Garden. I don't remember, Matt. What was the angle?
So Shawn Michaels was told to drop the title. He got in trouble. He has admitted he got in trouble. He was told to drop the title. He said, "No, I'm not dropping the title. I'm just going home." So he went home and he took the belt with him in real life. And then Razor Ramon, meanwhile, wins the new IC title. They both ended up having belts. They saw the opportunity, and they put both belts up there for the IC title match. And it's worth mentioning that the ladder match idea was brought to WWE by Bret Hart. Bret Hart and Dynamite Kid had ladder matches. They had ladder matches in Calgary, and I believe they had one or two in the WWE as well.
I did not know that, bro. That's an interesting point. I did not know that.
They also did a couple practice runs of this match in some house shows. So they had a little idea of what they were going to do in this match. Cornette is indignant and giving a long promo because Yokozuna and Fuji can't talk. Fuji's smiling, and they're closing in on Yokozuna's sweat.
Yoko's got the mean face going on.
That's a mean face right there. That's it. Just closing on that. I heard he was a nice guy, though.
Yeah, he was. He was.
You ever seen that Raw video where he just destroys that enhancement talent?
No.
He said something backstage that made somebody mad, and Yoko just demolished him. Demolished him. Like, gave him that bonsai drop for real, you know?
Yeah.
Like with his legs out, you know? And Cornette's still going. Cornette has worked himself. Hey, believe it or not, Cornette's worked himself into a frenzy here.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, I mean, my God, I thought that last match was a squash like that because they were short on time. Now they're digging themselves in a hole again, man. This shouldn't have been this long.
Well, I think they're getting ready for the ladder match. They have to hang the belts and also put the ladder up. And also, they have to get people excited because after that atrocity we just saw, Yokozuna has to wrestle again.
All right, so let's get this straight. We got the ladder match, and then we got Yoko and Bret.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's what we got. And we see the two belts hanging from the top of the arena, which is the first time I think we ever saw that visual in the WWF.
Really?
I don't think we ever had a ladder match where the belts were hung up in the middle of the ring before this match. Not on pay-per-view.
Now, what did Meltzer rate this match? He had to give it 5, right?
5 stars. And he says, to lead off the Observer that week, he says that Shawn Michaels put in one of the greatest performances in the history of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
And, you know, what strikes me about this match when I've watched it, is the effort by both of them, and they're balls out. Like, they're running as fast as they can. They're hitting as hard as they can. They're trying things that nobody ever did before. And you can't overlook Scott Hall.
No, of course not. Absolutely not.
This is the highlight of the pre-WWE champ Shawn Michaels' career at this point, and behind him,
he's got Kevin at this point, huh?
He's got Kevin Nash as Diesel, you know, because he needs that heater back there. He's got the old mirror gimmick, the peace sign earrings. This is the Shawn Michaels almost ready to go up to that next level. Look at Kevin Nash. Just his job is to look big. A great visual, though. No.
Yeah, bro. I say this, man, and it's, you know, it's tough for me to say, bro. You know, when I think of guys like Austin and Rock and stuff, and I told him this, man, bro. Shawn Michaels was the greatest wrestler I ever worked with.
And we're talking, you know, they like to use the word in-ring performer. Do you mean in-ring performer?
All around. He was the best all-around wrestler I ever worked with, bro.
Because the conversation always goes between him and Flair, right? Where it's either Flair or him. You know,
I said, well, I mean, worked with, I mean, like really actively worked with. You know what I'm saying, bro? I worked, you know, Flair had a couple matches at WCW, you know, a couple matches, you know, TNA. But I mean, I really, really worked with Shawn for a long, long time. And I didn't work with Ric Flair in his prime.
We're looking at Razor, one of the best gimmicks of all time, one of the best wrestlers of all time. I think, look at it. Do you see what he did? He went under the ladder on purpose. Isn't that great? Like, I don't care. I'm Razor Ramon. I don't care about bad luck. But would you say that character, maybe, the name and the character and the gimmick, did create a ceiling for him where he could never really be the face of the company?
Who's that, Shawn?
Razor.
Oh, Razor? Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say, bro. I do. I think that's fair to say.
Because you understand what the Razor is, right? Like, why is he Razor? You understand that, right?
No, why?
Because razors are what they use to cut cocaine with.
Is that? I mean, I know that, but was that the connection?
I mean, he's basically Scarface, right?
Right.
Cocaine dealer, you know, Scarface, and he's got the razors. At the time, they would sell like a razor, you know, necklaces and stuff outside of wrestling to represent cocaine, and it was kind of this. Maybe Vince didn't know. You know,
yeah.
It's possible that Vince didn't know. but Razor was definitely a coke dealer in a way. Like when you go halfway with something, where,
Yeah.
But then he turned into a giant baby face. If Scott Hall, there's no reason to believe Scott Hall would have this much success at this level with his previous gimmicks. But dude, he's killing it here.
Cool, because he's cool, bro. He's cool. That's what it is. Both these guys, all three of these guys, bro. All three of these guys are about as cool as you're going to get.
Now, people don't know what the hell's going to happen. No, 99% of the people watching have never seen a ladder match before. They don't know that they're going to use the ladder in the match. They know you have to use the ladder to climb, but no one really knows what's going to happen with this ladder. As we go to the lockup, this opening sequence is fantastic. Not unlike Owen, Bret, where they go to hammerlocks to hammerlocks. Look at these guys, man. What do you think of this?
Yeah, just crisp, man. Crisp is the word that always comes into play, man.
Look how fast they're running. Everything is at a top speed. Oh, straight to the chokeslam.
Now, bro, who was the one? God, I'm confused now. I remember the story that, Scott Hall, was coming into the WWE and he was in the bathroom, I think at Titan Tower, and he had to come up with a gimmick. It was either Tito Santana or Rick Martel that gave him the Razor Ramon gimmick.
Yeah, I don't remember. I should know. I definitely should know.
I want to say Tito Santana.
It might have been Tito.
It was one of those two guys.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it was Tito.
I don't know. Was it Jake Roberts?
No.
And it wasn't Hawk, because those are two guys.
No, it was one of those two guys for sure.
Well, the Razor Ramon gimmick definitely worked, and you see how fast they run. If we clocked it, I don't think I've ever seen anybody run faster than Shawn Michaels off those ropes in this match. Diesel attacking Razor outside. Now,
I'll never forget one of the biggest mistakes I thought Vince McMahon ever made, man, is, not too long after this, bro, Kevin Nash won the WWE title from Bob Backlund. Okay? And on the cover of the magazine, we had a picture of, Diesel as Diesel with the belt. And I'll never forget, Vince McMahon made us reshoot it and wanted a picture of Kevin as Diesel with the belt on the cover of the WWE magazine, grinning from ear to ear. And it was totally a change in the character we had seen. We had never seen Kevin Nash, smile before. But it was just so typical Vince. All right, I want Kevin Nash to be the big baby face of the company, so he's going to smile now. It's so funny, bro, when I look back on stuff like that and I talk about the bubble and whatnot, they still do the same shit today. It's God, they've always done those things, man.
Just wanting him to be in a role where maybe he shouldn't be in, which is the smiling babyface Kevin Nash.
Yeah, man. And man, I remember that magazine cover came out. I remember it vividly, and I was like, God, bro, why?
Speaking of Kevin Nash, Earl Hebner has now removed him from the ring area, and he is no longer allowed to be a part of this match. Razor lifted up the padding from outside. That was not something you saw a lot of at that time.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
Razor going for the big finisher, and the crowd is into this match. They have slightly recovered as he takes the back body drop onto the floor, which ironically he had just unprotected.
Look how long Shawn's hair is here.
Shawn's got the super mullet going, dude.
Yeah, here comes a suicide dive.
You think a suicide dive? Oh wait, yeah. He's outside the ring. Now, if this was WWE, they would throw him into the ring post every time, but he is going for the ladder because the point of the match is to grab these belts off of the top of the ladder that is hung from the middle of the arena. Vince, do you have any idea how many ladders were inside the building for this match?
How many ladders did they use in the match? Do we know?
This was the only ladder. So
really,
yes, Scott Hall was talking about that recently.
Wow.
And he said, if we didn't even think about that. If we screwed up this ladder, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Because
I hated going from this to 18 ladders ringside. I hated that, bro.
It's a little unnatural, right?
Yeah, man.
Like, it was cool the first time Jeff Hardy pulled out like the 20-foot or ladder, but now when you have 1,000 ladders, I don't like themed pay-per-views to begin with.
It's too much, bro.
I don't like the themed pay-per-views because then they've booked themselves into a corner where they have to have a Hell in a Cell match every September and have to have a ladder match and it's not organic the way this one was.
Right.
And the ladder still has not made its way in the ring. The fans still don't really know what this match is going to become. So it's kind of fun to see that if you're watching at home at the time, you just think and now it's a weapon. You just think the ladder is going to be used as a way to climb, but now it's a weapon.
Yep.
And we weren't used to seeing not just ladders as weapons, but chairs being used in a match, without a disqualification. And Shawn is about to just let him have it. Oh, and look at the crowd reacting to those hits with the ladder by Shawn Michaels.
The ladder weighs 80 to 100 pounds, and he's picking it up like it's a feather, bro.
Do you think they weighed the ladder pre-show?
Yeah, 100 pounds.
It's a 100-pound ladder. You have, it's a 100-pound ladder with a 200-pound weight limit. It looks like a sturdy ladder. They spent the extra money for the good ladder, I think. But it is not painted black. And Shawn has hit Razor a few times with it, and now he's setting up. He's set up the ladder, and so far, a great match, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the visual of the two belts hung in opposite directions is just swinging like a Foucault's pendulum from the top is such a great visual.
Is it me, or is that ladder a lot shorter than they are today?
Yeah, I think they were figuring stuff out at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, I remember that, the ass out.
My God. And the elbow drop with the ass out. Now the fans are starting to react because now you get the picture. Dude, anything could happen now.
Well, are they reacting to that, or are they reacting to the ass?
No, with the ass out and then Shawn Michaels jumping off with the elbow drop, it's like, oh shit, what are we watching? What is going on? And he's setting up the ladder in the corner now for a iconic move that we've seen captured in pictures forever.
The elbow gimmick?
No, I believe it's a splash. But he climbs off one side of the ladder onto the other to do it. And it's a great visual. And, we just saw something we should talk about, which is the first slow climb up a ladder in WWE history. Here it comes. Watch this.
Oh, wow. It's nice.
Oh. Of course, we've seen many jumps much higher, much bigger, but that was the first, and it was perfect.
What do you think about that? What do they call that? The coup de grace, the cum de grace. What do you think about that move?
The coup de grace, I like it. I don't understand how it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I know. That's what I say.
I don't get it. Like, how do you do that where it doesn't hurt? Like, I mean, that energy's got to be displaced somewhere. It's either displaced onto Finn Balor or it's displaced on the opponent. It seems like a very painful move. Do you not like that move?
No, I just don't like that move because it's like, come on, who wouldn't roll out of the way of that? I mean, the only one who kind of did not let him do it was Brock Lesnar. Brock literally turned to one side. I remember seeing that.
So the ladder just got set up, and for the first time, we saw someone get knocked off the ladder. Shawn took that bump the way we've seen a million times first. A million times since, which is, he gets draped across the top rope. Yep. Everything we've seen a million times, but this is the first time we've seen any of it.
the one thing that I think we always take for granted, and we definitely take this for granted, man, is and it's really unbelievable. You know, when you see the pay-per-views and guys having matches like this, and then they're working Raw the next night.
Right.
That to me is like, we so take that for granted. Think about, bro, what their bodies feel like when they wake up in the morning and they're going to TV and they have to do another match. I mean, that to me is just insanity.
It is. And the fact that they just don't sell anything anymore the next day. I'll also say, I keep going back to this, but Scott Hall, the way he just hit the ropes, I've never seen a guy that size move so quickly in the ring. These guys are going at 1,000% this whole match. And here's another innovative move we've seen many times using the ladder. The ladder set up in the corner, and now someone's going to get slung into it, and it is Shawn Michaels. Oh.
Yeah, that's a great bump.
Out of the ring, through the ladder. There's only one way to do that right and a million ways to do it wrong, and he did it right. It's just not as cool when you see it every week, right?
Yeah, no. And, you know, Scott was, you know, again, you know, because he had such a great character and great personality and all the tools, man. You know, he was a big man, bro. You know what I mean? Scott Hall was a big dude, man.
Really, you know, 6'5", 6'6". I've heard that, like, I forget who said it, but a wrestler said that backstage he looked like he was like 6'2". And then he could just like spread his arms out, and then he just got to be 6'6" all of a sudden. Like there's something about him. You know, when he went out in front of the cameras. Oh, everything's great. Scott Hall, you've described as a ball buster.
Yeah.
But Scott Hall is not one of these guys. We hear all these wrestling interviews with these shoot interviews, and we've never heard any people say, wow, Scott Hall, what a great guy. That's not something you really hear.
No. But I will never forget this. I'll never forget this moment, Matt. He was a ball buster, never made my job easy, you know, but I'll never forget, bro, my nephew's 31 years old. As a matter of fact, I'm going to his wedding in about a week. It was about this time, bro, in 94. So you're looking about 25 years ago. My nephew was about a 5-year-old kid. And I brought him with me to a wrestling event. And, bro, he was a little 5-year-old kid and looking up at these wrestlers like, I mean, his mouth was agape. You know, he was just like in awe. Like, just imagine a little kid seeing these giants, you know? And I'll never forget, you know, maybe it was, well, no, I mean, it was probably around this time. And like I said, he's 31 now. So maybe he was 6 around there. But I'll never forget introducing him to Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. And like my nephew could not say a word. Like, bro, like just completely starstruck. And I remember like Razor, you know, saying hello to him and everything else like this. And Razor like turning to me and saying, you know, listen, I got some pictures in my car. I'm going to go out to my car and get him a picture and sign it for him. Like that was so out of character to the Scott Hall that I knew. And like I never, ever, ever forgot him doing that for my nephew because it was so unlike him. That I always remembered it. And that told me, you know what, bro, there's a good guy somewhere deep down inside there.
Now, something just happened. They both went up the ladder at the same time. Scott Hall hit Shawn Michaels off, and I believe that was supposed to be the finish. But then the ladder fell over. So Scott Hall is doing maybe the slow walk up. So maybe that's not the finish, but it seemed to be an error.
These fans, like, they're really in a holy shit moment right now. You know what I mean? I mean, like you keep saying, Matt, they're seeing this for the first time, and this is like, holy shit. I mean, think about it, bro. What could you possibly see today that you haven't seen before that people would be sitting there and saying, holy shit? I mean, think about it.
I like to think there's an infinite field of ideas for all of us to come up with, and it's easy to say it's all been done. But in this case, you know, the latter, it's all been done, and a lot of it was done in this match. And I guess that wasn't the finish because Scott Hall climbed the rope and Shawn Michaels climbed the ladder, and Shawn Michaels drop kicked the ladder, and Scott Hall fell down, and now another spot where these guys just, the big super kick. And the crowd is totally into this, dude. They love this.
Yeah.
They love everything.
Man, I would love that feeling, Matt. And I've never asked a wrestler this question before. I wonder what that feeling is like, bro, when you've got a sold-out crowd, whether it's a big show, whatever it is, and you're in there wrestling, and, like, you know you've got them. You know what I mean? I wonder what that feeling is like for the performer, where you know we got them, bro. Like, they're in the palm of our hand, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they've got them. And it is a great feeling. I think all of us have had a perfect pile driver on Razor from Shawn, but all of us have had that feeling, you know, of being in the zone. And I think it's in the zone. But when you're talking about in front of 20,000 people, and if you look at the crowd right now, there are people pumping their fists, there are people covering their eyes, people are standing up, people are cheering. They are into this match, and they absolutely have them in the palm of their hands. It must be the greatest feeling on earth, dude. Another move we've seen a million times.
I'm just real. I would love to know how much of this is being improv. Like, I guarantee you this is an improv move right here. I guarantee you they did not go over that.
Yeah,
I guarantee you that thought came to Shawn.
But there's nothing. I think fans do respond to innovation more than anything. You know.
Yeah.
And this innovation, it's quite a thing to see. Everything going on, and these guys basically working with a prop in a way that's never been worked with before, and creating wrestling history and influencing a whole generation of wrestlers.
I don't even remember who goes over.
Well, we'll let it be a surprise as Shawn Michaels sets up the ladder on top of the prone Razor Ramon.
I think Scott goes over.
It certainly looks like it with the way that it's being set up, and look at the slow climb of the ladder, which we've seen him do. This ladder is short, and the belts are low. You know,
he's got to go up the other side here, right?
It might be another teeter-totter. He's trying to knock over the ladder.
Shawn's going to take a hellacious bump. Look at that. He set himself up perfectly, bro.
Shawn crotched himself, which, if we listen to any of the backstage rumors.
Oh, yeah, that's that. Now I remember. Okay, now I remember. Now that's a great finish. Okay. But I would have never done the Randy Crush spot if they were going to do this, right, bro?
Right. Why would he do that?
Very similar, right?
Yeah, where he gets tied up. So Shawn crotches himself, but that's not enough. He gets his leg caught, and then they play, and so Shawn can't move. And now Razor's going up to the top. Shawn has the time, and Razor falls off the ladder with the belts, and look at the crowd.
I'm so surprised that they did that similar finish with Crush and Savage, man. Very, very similar. That was a great finish right there.
Really
great finish.
The timing may have been a little off.
But that's freaking. That's Pat Patterson. I mean, no question about it. No question.
Yeah, I mean, just to tie him up like you would if it was Randy Savage and Crush. They'll go banana. And we've got our winner, Razor Ramon. I don't know if he was supposed to fall off the ladder to win, because there's an iconic pose he takes on top of the ladder with both belts.
I think he purposely took that belt off the ladder after the win. just to add to the drama, I thought.
Yeah, just another crazy bump. Now look, he's being look at Earl holding the ladder up and in victory, look at that shot. Look at that shot of Razor with the two belts.
Man, this was really a 2-match show, huh, bro? Honestly?
Absolutely was. Absolutely was. But people remember the big moments, right? So in the Observer, I want to say, let's see here, 74% of the people gave it a thumbs up, 13% gave it a thumbs down. So even though the majority of it was rough, those two matches, as well as the finish of this pay-per-view, which Meltzer calls anticlimactic, is what people remember for the show.
So they killed the match because they went long then, huh, bro? A match. Yeah, I remember that now. That match was killed. There was another match.
It's Bret Hart versus Yokozuna for the title.
No, there was another match. That's what that backstage vignette was.
Oh, yeah.
There was supposed to be another match, but they went too long, so they had to kill it.
But thank God they did.
I'm with you.
I mean, what was it going to be like? Mo was going to come out again and face Yokozuna, or, who knew? But earlier that week, as we watched,
I wonder how they handle that payday. You know what I'm saying, Matt? Because backstage, I mean, Double J was back there. IRS was back there, a few people that were supposed to have a match. If that match gets killed because of the time constraints, I wonder how that affects their payday.
I wonder too.
They had to still be paid, no, bro?
Yeah, I think that the money flows pretty good WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, they had to get paid for that.
And who could forget 1993, as everybody comes out, Bobby the Brain Heenan riding a elephant backwards or a camel backwards, and the finish of Yokozuna versus Bret. Everyone thinks that was a bullshit finish because what happened is that Yokozuna beats Bret Hart, and then who comes to the rescue? Hulk Hogan out of nowhere, and he gets the title in a match he wasn't even scheduled for.
Now, bro, how long could this match go with Yoko having to go again, bro?
Well, I will give you the answer. The answer is in 10 minutes. And
yeah, there's no way, bro. No way.
Also, it's weird because Bret just lost clean to somebody else, right?
Yeah, they just did that, bro. Didn't somebody? Oh no, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Becky losing clean to Asuka, and
right.
Now she's going with Charlotte.
Kind of same deal, though, right? Like, how do you buy someone as winning?
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah, bro. This was very kabuki-ish. Very, very kabuki-ish.
Showing flashbacks of Stu Hart working with two young boys as if they're brothers, separating them. And now Bret Hart coming to the ring, showing flashbacks of the years Bret Hart has come to the ring, facing opponents such as Adam Bomb and Brooklyn Brawler, DiBiase, and the British Bulldog. So it looks like it's being set up for Bret Hart to be the hero here. Of course, earlier in the night, he lost the match, but that's kind of weird. That is, as you say, kabuki-ish.
Yeah, it is.
And they
showing this package is kabuki-ish. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, was this added after the fact?
I don't think so.
Why would they show this?
I think they just want to show that Bret is the guy. That even though he lost to Owen in a fluke, and also gives Owen some more justification for being a heel. It shows Bret Hart, the world beater here, over and over again, the former champion. Maybe it's time for the title to return to its rightful owner. I think that's the point. And of course, Yokozuna would be weakened by having to face Luger and applying a 20-minute long nerve hole. There's Bill Alfonso. So it looks like the setup is Bret Hart is going to win. If I was watching this, I would think Bret Hart is going to win.
I would think so. No,
it's a year later. It's a year. That's the guy. That's the guy that Yoko killed. Oh God, they keep showing it. it's a year after Bret Hart loses to Yoko. So maybe it's kind of, in a way, a year-long arc where they got distracted with Lex Luger, but decided to go with Bret Hart after all.
I wonder if it was a Luger attitude back then. I wonder what it was.
Luger will be the first to say, that he wasn't really social. He was kind of someone who was full of himself. He wasn't easy to get along with. He was a prima donna. I mean, these are things he will tell you. So, and then also Luger wasn't ever a company guy,
Yeah.
And Bret Hart was definitely the company guy, which was the genesis of his resentment towards Vince when he left.
Yeah. Here's something else I remember too. I remember these oddball moments, but Jenny Garth, 90210, was red hot at the time. She so did not want to be there that she would not leave her dressing room the entire night. She didn't come out of that dress. Look at the way she's holding on a Bert. She did not come out of her dressing room till this, because she's so not wanted to be there. And I can't imagine what they paid her.
Meltzer says that it looked like Jenny Garth did not want to be there.
Yeah.
And also, Meltzer also reports that there was a bit segment pitched for her that she nixed.
Yeah, I'm sure there was.
And Jenny Garth was hot at the time. And they're going to do a 90210 reboot. I believe she's going to be part of that. The recently passed away Luke Perry was not going to be part of that. But see the broken hand? See?
Yeah.
That's because Burt Reynolds is a man, and he punched out a mugger. How about getting beat up by Burt Reynolds when you tried to mug somebody? I guess Burt Reynolds would not agree to being in the ring with Cy Sperling.
Yeah, no.
Because Burt Reynolds is the original hair club for men guy. Really, look at that. When I was a kid, I only knew two people I knew wore toupees for sure. Shatner and Reynolds.
I wish I knew that ring announcer's name. God, I should know that.
Well, we hope you've all enjoyed this watch along. We're not going to do this very often because we reserve this for our Patreons over at patreon.com/Russo-Koon TWC. Uh-oh. Look who is the surprise referee. And
see what I love? And that's one of the things I don't like about Becky. I don't know why she's pandering to the fans. Did you see how Piper came out? He's getting that kind of a reaction, but he's not pandering to the fans. No. You know what I mean?
And listen to the reaction. It's the but
that's the producing. I hope people understand, when I'm critical about a character, I'm not talking about that person. That person is being produced. And that's where the critique is coming in.
And I think that comes across, Vince. I
hope so, bro. I hope so. Because, I wish, literally, bro, God, I wish I was able to have a conversation with Becky. Literally, and I would tell her, you should do this, you should do this, you should do that. And I would explain to her, why. And I know she would understand. So to me, it's just a total lack of producing.
Piper is in the best shape of his life. He looks fantastic. Like you said, he is not pandering. He is just being Piper and getting that
being Piper.
MSG welcome. I say it comes across, Vince, because especially last week when we did What the F Happened to WrestleMania, we got a lot of tweets, a lot of feedback about, I'm not a big Vince Russo guy, but I loved what he said that episode. We got more feedback like that than we've had in a while.
Yeah.
So I think that is coming across, that maybe Vince Russo has some points to make, and if we just kind of listen a little bit, maybe we can agree or disagree, but it's not like you ever go after the wrestlers.
No.
And from the House of the Rising Sun, we have Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette. And the announcers are asking the question, what kind of shape could Bret Hart be in? But what kind of shape could Yokozuna be in right now?
God, can you imagine, Matt, a guy like that? I mean, you're talking about working for the WWE and stuff, and, you're talking about the guy travel the world. Can you imagine being that size, Matt, and sitting on airplanes and having to go through airports and sleeping in a hotel? I can't imagine that, bro. I can't imagine that.
I'm probably larger size-wise than 99% of people, and it's uncomfortable wherever you go. But Yokozuna, way, way, way bigger than me. I can't even begin to imagine the discomfort on a daily basis.
I can't imagine, bro. What a hassle. I mean, everything's got to be a hassle, man.
I'm trying to go, we're flying first class to Mania because I like bigger seats. I don't even think Yoko could fit in a first class seat, and we do that because the seats are more comfortable.
Yeah, no way, bro, no way.
He'd have to get two seats, right? Always.
Yeah.
But it's fair, as we see Bret Hart and Yoko go toe to toe, it's fair to say he just experienced discomfort and inconvenience on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, think about literally, you think about guys like Yoko, you think about guys like Andre. I mean, literally, bro, think about the years that got shaved off their life because of that. You know what I mean?
For sure. All those pictures of Andre we saw in Japanese hotel rooms. And yeah. And we're watching Yoko. He's got some energy. He's working with Bret Hart, which is, I would guess, a little bit better than working with Lex Luger. But it's also his second match of the night. The crowd was set up for this badly because that match that happened before just tore the friggin' house down.
Yeah.
We've already seen both these guys wrestle in much more anticipated matches, I think, earlier in the night. So, as Meltzer said, this is anticlimactic.
It's funny because you got to know, you got to really know the individuals to know what's going on. Bret is such a pro, and Bret knows at this point how blowed up Yokozuna is, and Bret is going to make him do as little as possible, and everything Yoko does to Bret is going to make it look like it's killing him. You know what I mean, bro?
Sure.
You have to know the individuals to know that Bret knows all this. He knows he isn't going to be able to do much. He's only going to be able to do a few things. And I've got to sell every single thing like I've been shot. You know what I mean? I don't know, Matt, if people have that kind of psychology today. I don't even know if younger wrestlers today even understand that. Here's a perfect case in point, bro, and I'm saying this off the top of my head. I told you that Kevin Owens is starting to grow on.
Right,
okay?
Right.
Kevin Owens had an interview segment on SmackDown this past week with Charlotte and Becky. Charlotte and Becky are in a pretty important match at WrestleMania. Okay? Kevin Owens and whoever produced the segment, they were taking that opportunity for Kevin Owens to get Kevin Owens over. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
In that role, Kevin Owens needs to know, bro, I'm not highlighted at WrestleMania. This is the money match. I've got to get this match over. You've got to know those. And that's why, I think some of that is lost today. When the wrestlers don't understand a big part of their job. Does that make sense, man?
Absolutely, but you're also comparing Bret Hart to Kevin Owens. Bret Hart, is the greatest of all time in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying the situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, in that situation, whoever is in that Kevin Owens seat, you got to get the match over. I mean, that's a prominent match at WrestleMania. You've got to get that over.
And that's what Ric Flair was great at. They said he could work with a broomstick. And of course, Bret Hart here knows what he has to do. He also has to leave here with the title. So he has to create do his best to create a situation where the fans are into it, not just protect Yokozuna.
Yes.
And Bret is he's just going 100 miles. He's going 100 miles an hour here, like trying to really make up for the loss of mobility from Yokozuna. And Piper's doing his best in the ring, but he's not a referee.
Here's Piper's spot.
Piper and Cornette face to face. Oh, there it is. Cornette got beaten the shit out of in this.
No, and he was a bumping fool, man. He great bumps, but both of them were great bumps. Again, a lot of this stuff, bro, is like, you have Piper as a special guest referee, but you did the thing with Hennig. You know what I'm saying, Matt? I mean, that's usually a no-no in wrestling, Right. But they do it several times, as you said earlier. And it's that lack of it shows how difficult it is, even when the company's doing well, to keep things consistent and have things make sense, not just in one match, but over the course of the pay-per-view. When you look at what we're dealing with in 2019 with my 14 to 17 matches, there's no way they're thinking about match to match. No way, bro. No way. That's why you see a lot of stuff, a lot of repetition, and a lot of the same stuff over and over and over, and none of it means anything.
And Piper standing up now to Yokozuna, but unlike Mr. Perfect earlier in the day, I believe Piper is going to call it as he sees it. And he also has history with Bret Hart wrestling at WrestleMania a couple years prior. So Piper's going to call it as he sees it, I think. Yoko standing, Bret Hart laying down, and Yokozuna taking his time. Would you say that's fair?
I'd say that's very fair.
And, they actually took him off the road because of his weight, and they really worked with him, trying to get him to lose that weight. But once you get to that certain point, it's hard to get.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn that around, And Yoko sending Bret Hart over the top rope, and Piper working Yoko back to the corner as he starts the count. And it's a very fast count.
Piper was so great, huh, Matt?
He was great. He's fantastic.
Jeez, so great.
It's an unusual look for him, though, with the jeans, and he's skinny.
Yeah.
He's skinny here. And
yeah. This must have been his Hollywood, his Hollywood moment, right?
For sure. He must be doing work other places. And Piper knew his value. Piper knew he could maximize his appearances by appearing less and doing pay-per-views. He was the Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar.
You ever see a Piper on It's Always Sunny?
No. Was that good?
Oh, tremendous, man. Great.
Now, I'm not a big It's Always Sunny watcher, but my son is. He loves it.
Great show, man. Great characters.
And Matthew tells me things that happen on the show, and he's a big fan of it. And
bro, you would have liked when Piper had me on his show, and he was grilling me about the Owen thing and everything. And bro, this went on for 2 hours.
Right.
When he was all done, like the last thing I said to him was, "Can we talk about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia now?" And I freaking popped him because I don't think he ever thought I watched it. You know what I mean? But after all that, that's what I hit him with, and I finally got a laugh out of him.
That's awesome. Took him out of the moment just for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've got a couple near falls on Yokozuna. Bret Hart doing a bulldog off the second rope, and of course his elbow drop off the second rope. And the announcers make note that Piper is calling it down the middle, and it looks like Bret is just chopping down a big tree.
Yeah.
Great flying clothesline. That was a great move to use on the WrestleFest video game back in the day, that Bret Hart flying clothesline. Going for the pin again. What's it going to take? What's it going to take to beat this big man by Bret Hart? What is it going to take? He's tried everything. I'm predicting there ain't no sharpshooter coming, man.
Bro, he's still selling the knee. He's still selling the knee, bro. That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
Better than Limpin' Becky?
Yeah, yes, a little bit.
And
ooh.
Oh, he catches him. Oh, wow. Belly to belly. One of
you would think this is the finish.
Right. He's the belly to belly was a big setup for his bonsai drop. And Bret Hart caught perfectly by Yokozuna as he's being dragged across the ring. Yoko is just near collapsing right now.
Yeah, I can imagine how he's going to feel tomorrow morning, huh?
Right, but he'll be on Raw the next day probably. And here he goes for his bonsai drop off the second rope. If he hits it, it's all over. And he just fell off. He lost his balance and fell off.
God, you know what would have been a great finish, bro?
What's that?
You know what would have been a great finish if he went up for that bonsai drop and the rope broke?
Well, what just happened made no sense. Yokozuna lost his balance. He fell off the rope, and Bret Hart just rolled him up and got the fluke victory. Another fluke victory in the corner, not unlike what happened in the Bret Hart-Owen match earlier.
Yeah, bro. Very kabuki-ish booking, man.
It was a company unsure of where it was going. You had the
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, Matt.
And you really, they called the new generation, but they hadn't yet got in the stars that were going to replace the old ones. Yoko is now squaring up against Piper, which we know is always a mistake. Here come the fireworks to celebrate the new champion. Bret, the Hitman Hart. It's a new era in WWE. And this has been a long time coming for Bret Hart. You know, as Yoko chases Piper into the vomitorium, Bret Hart is in the ring, and we're going to have an old school babyface celebration, Vince. Now, if babyfaces were going to come to the ring to celebrate, wouldn't you think the one person who wouldn't come would be Lex Luger?
Yeah, he doesn't come?
Well, I mean, he's the guy who should have gotten the shot. He finished in a tie with Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble. He lost his match unfairly, but yet for some reason, he's still one of the baby faces who runs to the ring.
Yeah. This was the cover of the next magazine that month. The guys lifting him up. This was the cover. They come out and lift him up, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that was the cover of the magazine. Bro, he's still selling the knee. He's still selling the knee.
And listen. Lex Luger comes to the ring to confront Bret Hart, but being the good guy that he is, we all know, with the smile across his face, he's going to wish him well because Vince likes you more than me, and you got the title, and I didn't.
Yeah.
They embrace in the ring, and then
three huge stars there, bro, right there, huh?
Luger, Piper, and Bret Hart. You would work with all three at the same time in WCW. And here comes Razor wishing him well, and Burt Reynolds is in the ring. He's hugging Bret, and every babyface you can think of. Tatanka is there. 1, 2, 3 Kid. Bob Holly. Really a weird group of people if you're really thinking about it. And Billy Gunn, Rhonda Shear, they're trying to get every celebrity in there, but I don't think Jenny Garth is coming in the ring. What do you think? No time soon. Oh, Savages, that's nice. Because this is a big moment for Bret Hart. Finally get his hands on this title that he's been chasing for so long. And now Donnie Wahlberg, because no party is complete without Donnie Wahlberg.
Gorilla Monsoon. I miss him, man, you know.
Good guy.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, that shot. That's the shot right there. That was the cover of the magazine.
Luger and Scott Hall lifting up Bret Hart. Macho Man getting on the second rope, pointing to Bret Hart in a moment of acceptance and validation that this guy has worked his way to this point to have this moment. And this must be one of the top moments in Bret Hart's career.
I would have to think so. This was the first title reign, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's got to be. Oh, there's Owen. Look at that.
Because guess what Owen's thinking? I beat you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Macho Man invites him in to help him celebrate. Is he going to celebrate?
Nah.
Look at that.
No way.
His face. That's
no way.
That steely look. I like it. I like the ending with Owen coming.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I think it worked. And guess what? Guess what happens to the crowd, Vince? They go home happy.
Yep. You know? Yep.
Like I've been in the last 2 WrestleManias. I think I went home going, "What the fuck?" Like, what? You know, like Undertaker retiring in the ring, and then also last year with Reigns just getting destroyed. We're like, "What just happened? What are we watching?" The beach ball WrestleMania last year. There's no beach balls in this crowd. So, as they sign off. Overall, it's not quite what you remembered, is it?
No, but it makes sense to me why, Matt. Like I said, man, the excitement of that being my first pay-per-view, WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden. God, I was on top of the world. But looking at it now, bro, it was a 2-match pay-per-view.
And of course, this was our first watch-along we've ever done for the Truth with Consequences audience. If you dug it, go over to our Patreon site, patreon.com/Russo Koon TWC. We got a whole bunch of these up there, including a Survivor Series, the Big Turn with The Rock, and of course 13 Weeks, which is a monthly look at the first 13-week run that Vince Russo had in WCW, and also all the stuff that's going on russosbrand.com right now, right, Vince?
Yeah, absolutely. Check out russosbrand.com. Over 10 shows a week, less than $1 a week, no long-term commitment. You got, Castrating the Mark, Stevie Richards, Ben Harmeen, Raw SmackDown Review, The Great Disco Inferno, bro. A lot going on. Check it out. Give us a try, russosbrand.com. And what about your show, Matt?
Total Engagement with Matt Koon should be back on the air next week. We've had some technological issues with Audio Boom, and hopefully they fixed it. It's taken a week, but Ryback got to the bottom of it before I did, so Ryback's been a lot of help. Shout out to him, believe it or not. And the show's going great. We'll be back on the air next week. Total Engagement with Matt Koon. But most importantly, make sure to tune in next week and tell all your friends about Truth with Consequences with Vince Russo.